KBC Channel 1. It is one of the oldest competitions in football history, the DFB Pokal. Catch all the high-tempo fun, the cheers and tears as football made in Germany comes to you live on KBC Channel 1.
Gorgeous little flick from Mario Götze. Lets in Colomani to score. His fourth in the competition this season. Way better than any blockbuster.
Don't miss the grand finale on the 3rd of June 2023. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Nikikuona kazona waza sikukuta mimi jamani mashallah.
Chama Sunday, what is going on?
What is going on, Wabe?
Songa pela kidogo.
Karatasi ndafikia baba.
Nyakusuilia unyefu na umomonyoko wa maji kwenye
Mata wasaba. Ya bwana. Hey. Congratulations. Wow.
Kai. Ni sumu mbaya sana hii. Sumu. Unanyolewa. Very good.
Wewe tatika. Friday prasa ya makanika ndio unaweka kwa masikio.
From you know your soul clean. Red, gold and green. Red, gold and green. Human race. Running in a human race, yeah. What a disgrace. Human beings when are you?
Good morning. It's the 23rd day of May, a new way to start your day. Welcome to the program. Anytime we are around there, we say it's the 23rd day, not 23rd, 23rd. How are you doing? How was the weekend? I have got what I call buffet of politics today. We'll be talking matters politics and what happened over the past week and what we should be looking at towards this following week. We have got so much to talk about, what I call a buffet of politics. I have got Ishmael Nyaribo, I have got Kidi Mwaga, who are all advocates of the High Court and political analysts, as well as Advice Mundalo, who is the Jubilee Chair, National Youth Chair at the Jubilee Party, but now on the Kanini Kega faction, quote unquote. We'll be having an amazing discussion. That is because the NDC slated for day, the Jubilee NDC will be taking place at the Ngong Racecourse. President Uhuru Kenyatta, former president, will be in attendance, as well as Azimio affiliate parties will be attending as friends of Jubilee. What should we be looking at? Talk to us on our social media handles and we'll be talking about that later on. Right, but now the show is on and Doreen is on set as well. Doreen, good to see you. Bushere
mno. Kariena.
Oriana mno.
I am doing good.
Oriho.
Ndio.
Bas.
Hi. Someone should give me a kikombe. Now, yesterday, civil society groups did weigh in on the nomination of Noordin Haji for the position of Director General at NIS, this including Transparency International, TISA, amongst various other civil society groups, saying that he does not pass muster and is not fit for that particular position, given the fact that he has demonstrated lack of confidence. Remember, at his helm, we have really witnessed the dismissal of cases, and they did cite 8 key graft cases allied to very important and big names in the current government. But also key to note is that much as yes, he has been nominated, but he still needs to be vetted by the National Assembly Committee on Defense and Foreign Affairs. So then, will this petition that is being looked forward to be filed by this civil society groups see the light of day? Will this actually nomination go all the way to the appointment stage? We wait to see how all this will unfold the moment this committees resume sitting after their short recess. Nonetheless, always a pleasure to have you on board. This is Good Morning Kenya. Welcome to the program.
And remember, it is the 22nd of May 2023. We are coming to you live from the broadcasting house here in Nairobi, Kenya. Also, streaming live through our respective websites. Remember, this is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for choosing KBC, your #1 channel of choice this morning. My name is Ram Maguko. And of course, even as we start your morning on this fine Monday morning, I would like to read for you a verse in the book of Exodus 14:13. Do not be afraid. And Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Lord himself will fight for you. Regardless of what you're going through, remember, the Lord himself will fight for you. And that is to kickstart your morning on a high note. Remember to engage with us. The hashtag, as always, is Good Morning Kenya. At Victor Olo, at Dorina Range, at Ram Maguko, and at Marie Yambo. Thank you for choosing KBC Channel 1, your #1 channel of choice today.
Thank you so much, Ram Aguko. Good morning, Doreen, and Victor as well. And good morning to you back at home. Thank you for making the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. Yes, my name is Marie Yambo. Here on Good Morning Kenya, we update you on the latest news that is making headlines, plus news updates. In the news this morning, a lot lined up for you, including the fact that the Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kindiki Kithure, is actually calling on the, purging, if I may call it, of fake pastors, even as President William Ruto also warns that his government will not tolerate corruption in his tenure. So let's go on with it to the news, where Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, has urged religious leaders to assist the government in weeding out fake pastors and churches. So far, 238 bodies have been exhumed from Shakahola Forest in Kilifi County, while 90 people have been rescued. Phase 2 of the exhumation exercise will resume on Wednesday, the 24th of May.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki says the government will not shy away from dealing with broke churches and pastors.
Serikali ya Kenya itapambana vita vikali na watu wote ambao wamejificha katika dini, kuumiza na kuangamiza mioyo na maisha ya Wakenya.
Professor Kindiki further says Paul Mackenzie, who is believed to be behind the massive graves in Shakahola Forest, Kilifi County, will remain in custody until the truth is revealed and justice served to the victims.
Wale watu wote wamejificha kwa makanisa na kwa dini, kuibia watu, kuumiza watu, wakitumia Biblia, tutafukuzana nao bila tunafukuzana na magaidi mpaka tuhakikishe watu na wananchi wa Kenya wamepata haki yao.
He further warned that government officials will be found to have turned a blind eye to the atrocities will be dealt with accordingly.
Na wamewafanya wafuasi wao kuwa watumwa wao wa kuwatafutia mali, kuwatafutia heshima, kuwatafutia raha, na wanachukua fedha ya watu maskini, wanaenda kununua majumba ya kifahari na mandege na kufanya dhambi wakitumia hiyo pesa.
Phase 2 of postmortems on the exhumed bodies has been scheduled for 24th of May next week. Meanwhile, First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto has reassured churches of continued partnerships to actualize church and government projects. She rallied faithfuls to pray for leaders as the country faces trying times.
We are always ready to come and support the work that you are doing, because we know that you are supporting this government through prayer and through the things that you are doing. And like someone said, whatever is born out of prayer has to be sustained through prayer.
Deputy President's spouse, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja emphasized the need for good leadership in churches.
And as a Church of Jesus Christ, we are saying we are not ashamed of the pillars that are engraved in our Bible. It is doctrine. It tells us we fast. And even others fast, and nobody is asking them.
Look for younger men also. Because we cannot afford the confusion that is coming up in many, many places. Today you switch on your TVs, everybody has a station saying all manner of things. We need a remnant.
We need to think about what has worked. A life that is not reviewed is not a life that's worth living.
They made the remarks at Deliverance Church along Kangundu Road in Nairobi during a church service to celebrate Bishop J.B. Masinde's 70th birthday of age. Serafina Robi for Sunday Express.
So much, Serafina Robi, for that report. Now, President William Ruto has warned that his administration will not condone corruption in the land sector. The president has cautioned against what he termed as rampant corruption in land compensation in the country, ordering separation of functions between the National Land Commission and the Ministry of Lands. Let's get the details.
President William Ruto was today in Isiolo County for an interdenominational prayer service at Isiolo Boys High School. It is here that the president faulted the National Land Commission for what he termed as rampant corruption that has led to inequality in land compensation in the country.
Pale kwa National Land Commission imekuwa soko. Mtu unaenda hapo, unalipa pesa kidogo, shamba ya shilingi 1,100 inakuwa milioni 1. Mwingine anaenda pale kwa sababu hujatoa pesa, shamba yako ya milioni 1 inawekwa shilingi 1,100.
The president therefore ordered separation of functions between the Ministry of Lands and the National Land Commission to enhance accountability.
National Land Commission watafanya kazi yao, Ministry of Lands ambao wako na uwezo ya kufanya valuation, wafanya valuation so that tuondoe hii shida watu wa Isiolo wamejipata ndani yake.
The president also reiterated his administration's plans to create job opportunities for the youth in the country.
I want to tell the people of Kenya, for the first time, we have an intentional, coherent, credible plan for making sure that we organize our economy in such a manner that it is going to create jobs for the millions of our young people.
Also present was Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who affirmed the government's resolve to eradicate illicit brews.
Tumeanza pale katika Central Kenya, bahali ilikuwa mbaya. We have succeeded to almost 70%. And in the next few weeks, nitaongea na Regional Commissioner wa Eastern. Tutaweka mkutano mkubwa na viongozi na maofisa wote wa usalama. Ndio tupange mikakati katika Eastern Province, ile ya zamani, hasa hapa Isiolo, Marsabit, Embu, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, vile tutapambana na hiyo hali.
Tilio Marco for Sunday Express.
It is one of the oldest competitions in football history, the DFB Pokal. Catch All the high-tempo fun, the cheers and tears as football made in Germany comes to you live on KBC Channel 1.
Gorgeous little flick from Mario Götze. Let's in Colomani to score his fourth in the competition this season. Way better than any blockbuster.
Don't miss the grand finale on the 3rd of June 2023. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Nikikuona kazona waza sikukuta mimi jameni mashallah.
Chama Sunday, what is going on?
What is going on, Wabe?
Songa mbele kidogo.
Karatasi ndakutia wapi?
Ni kusuilia unyefu na umomonyoko wa maji kwenye
Mata wasaba.
Ya bwana. Hey.
Congratulations. Wow.
Kai. Ni sumu mbaya sana hii. Sumu. Unanyolewa. Very good.
Wait, tatika. Friday. Prasa ya makanika ndio unaweka kwa masikio.
Well, welcome back. We continue with the news, where Jubilee Party rebels insist that Monday's Special National Delegates Conference is illegal. Led by Ayala Member of Parliament Kanini Kega, Jubilee members of Parliament accompanied President William Ruto to an interdenominational prayer in Isiolo, where they denounced the status of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, saying he's no longer the leader of Jubilee Party. The Uhuru Kenyatta-led camp prepares to have the meeting at Ngong Racecourse in Nairobi today.
The scramble for Jubilee Party is set to enter another episode on Monday when the Uhuru Kenyatta-led camp holds a special National Delegates Conference at Ngong Racecourse in Nairobi. Embattled Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni has maintained that the meeting, whose main agenda is to cleanse the party and expel the rebels, will go on as scheduled.
The NDC has notified to the members of Jubilee Party by our party leader will be held on the 22nd of May and the 23rd of May.
But in Isiolo County, the perceived Jubilee rebels led by Iyala MP Kanini Kega and nominated MP Sabina Chege, while accompanying President William Ruto to a prayer meeting, dismissed Monday's delegates conference, saying it was not planned in accordance with the party's constitution.
Nataka nitangaze nikiwa katibu mkuu wa chama cha Jubilee, kesho hakuna mkutano wa NDC. Tutaitana mkutano wa NDC wakati utafaa. Kesho hakuna mkutano.
Na niwaambie wana Jubilee, kesho hakuna mkutano. Kwa sababu hata hiyo position ya party leader iliisha 6 months ago. Na sasa tuko 8 months. Kwa hivyo ile waliona kwa gazeti hiyo ni porojo. Wale wataenda mkutano Nairobi, hiyo ni mkutano tu ya kisiasa.
The faction seems to enjoy the support of several Jubilee elected leaders as well as key party organs like the National Executive Committee and Internal Disputes Resolution Committee. They now want former President Uhuru Kenyatta to obey the party's constitution and relinquish the leadership of the party.
Our former party leader ambaye alikuwa ni rais, tunamheshimu sana, wakati wake wa miezi 6 uliisha. Na kama chama tutarudi mashinani ili tufanye maneno yetu ndio ifike maneno ya delegates pale.
Na tunaomba kwa sababu tunajua Mwenyezi Mungu, Your Excellency, atakupatia nafasi ya kuwa rais miaka ingine 10. Baada ya miaka 10 tusikuone tena ukingangania chama cha UDA kama vile tunaona yule ambaye wa Jubilee anangangania.
Gishuki Washira, Sunday Express.
Gishuki Washira reporting, where transports along the Isebania-Sirari corridor was brought to a standstill for the better part of yesterday as locals protesting over insecurity engaged officials in running battles. The irate locals claim that the state of security in the region has left scores dead, with the latest being 3 businessmen who were gunned down by unknown assailants on Sunday morning.
The demonstrators barricaded the highway and lit bonfire, paralyzing movement along the busy corridor. Police officers in Isebania had a hectic time containing the situation as locals seemed not to relent on the matter. A special security meeting was hurriedly convened with the business committee to restore tranquility within the town center.
Grievances yao wanasema laxity ya askari ambayo wanakaa hapa Isebania town, of which tutafuatilia tuone hii maneno yote tutasolve namna gani ile matatizo wananchi wana raise mambo ya insecurity ya hapa Isebania town.
Niseme pole kwa sababu jana tulipoteza maisha ya mwanabiashara mmoja ambaye alikuwa mwanabiashara shupavu. Hii town ya Isebania tumeorganize maneno ya security. Kulikuwa na security officers wenye walikuwa na kwa patrol. But ile yenye tunataka tuulize wananchi ni kushare crucial security intelligence information. Kwa sababu hao wakora walishinda kutoka jana. Ile ripoti yenye tunapata ni kwamba walikuwa wanazunguka hapa jana. Hiyo muda yote hakuna mwenye alijulisha any security officer.
Many expressed disappointment in the manner in which the issue was being handled. The locals are demanding an immediate end to the runaway insecurity.
Si mara ya kwanza mambo hayo kufanyika sehemu ino. Sehemu ya Isebania kumekuwa kila siku watu wanapigwa. Juzi kukapigwa mtu akanyang'anywa pesa karibu 500,000 huko. Wakakata mkono. Jana mchana kwenye saa 12 watu hawajafunga maduka, majambazi wamekuja wampiga watu. Lakini baada ya kupiga watu, kawaida tegemezi ni kwamba polisi watakuja wasaidie. Hawakutukolezea.
Kitu kama hii ilifanyika saa 12 kuelekea saa 1. Askari walikuja 20 minutes later. Tayari mtu ameshaumia na wale wametoroka. Na walikuwa wanatembea kwa mguu. Tulikuwa tunawaona kabisa raia. Ni vile hatuna silaha.
Uongozi kuna mahali umeregea. Nafikiri kuweka maneno yote bayana, mimi kama kiongozi hapa kuna maneno inastahili iangaziwe kwa chicho kali sana, kwa sababu for one, wale askari performing wao ni wepesi sana wa kupiga transfer.
tumekuwa na several police officers dedicated to the job, lakini they can't last 2 months kwa sababu ya vetted interest ya wale watu wana smuggle things kuja Kenya.
Hispania town is located along the 1,500-kilometer long Sirari corridor and is of strategic importance in facilitating trade in the East and Central Africa. For Sunday Express, I'm Zainab Said.
Thank you, Zainab Said, for that report. Now let's look at sports, where National Sevens team Shujaa has been relegated from the World Rugby Sevens series after losing 7-12 to Canada in the playoff final at the Twickenham. It was a nervy affair. Both teams are aware of what was at stake, the 12th and final slot in the remaining series from 2024 onwards. Bailey Odhiambo played in captain Nelson Oyo, who turned his defenders inside out before touching down. Tony Omondi converted to put Shujaa 7-0 ahead. Brock Webster converted Josiah Moraes' try to level up score 7-7 at the break. Alex Russell's late try and the ensuing penalty advantage meant Canada were in possession at full time, kicking the ball out to confirm the status for next season, as Shujaa will be out of the series for the first time since attaining score status in 2004-2005. Now, moving on, reigning national champions Kenya Pipeline will take Zamalek of Egypt in the final of the 2023 Women's African Volleyball Club Championship in Tunisia. The final of the continental showpiece will be played on Monday in Hamnet.
The Paul Gitao charges labored before seeing off host Carthage of Tunisia by 3-2 in the semi-finals. CFC won the first set 25-18 before losing the second set 25-27. A rejuvenated Kenya Pipeline backed the third set 25-23 but lost the fourth set 23-25 to send the match into the fifth set, which the Kenyan champions won 15-9 to book a slot in the final. The team qualified for the last four after beating NKF of Cameroon by 3 straight sets of 25-10, 25-13 and 25-21. On the other hand, CFC of Tunisia booked their place in the semi-finals after eliminating APR of Rwanda by 3 straight sets. Meanwhile, Egyptian side Zamalek humbled MCA of Algeria by 3-1 to qualify for the final. A new champion will be crowned this year after defending champions KCB lost to MCA of Algeria in the quarterfinals.
Karanja David closing the news for us this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. If you can, stay with us. Good Morning Kenya still continues. We have the newspaper review. We also have Eye on Politics with Victor Low. Doreen and Ram are also on standby to bring you some more discussions on Good Morning Kenya. From me, it's goodbye for now. We hope to see you next time.
The discussions of the day this Monday morning. Quick look at what the dailies are holding for you. Start you off very quickly with a copy of the Daily Nation. The flag there: governors fight Ruto's plan to take over health. And this is just a meeting between the president, Dr. William Ruto, with the Health Workers Union, which was held on February 14th, about 3 months ago. And this is just to plan on the takeover of the health functions from counties and create or form a task force, the Health Risk Commission, to see how best this particular commission will oversee the functions of the entire health docket. And this is inclusive of the management of the same, when it comes to also management of the medics, I should say, also when it comes to matters of medicine, hiring, payments and the likes. And this was actually a proposal by the Secretary General KMPDU, Dr. Davji, who had over time alluded to removing the health functions from the county governments and just create a task force for the same, just like the way we have the Teacher Service Commission that oversees all this process from recruitment to payment and the deployment of teachers. But this is now what county bosses are saying, that this will be clawing back on the efforts that have been made with regards to health as a devolved function. But again, it's also very important for me to inform you that over time we have witnessed different and numerous cases of strikes and warnings of the same by health practitioners from different parts of the country. This is part of the reason as to why we are seeing this mulling over formation of the Health Risk Commission. But this matter really, as it has been well highlighted there, is not sitting well with the county bosses. This story has been tucked away on page 8 through 10 of the Daily Nation. Still on the front page there, teachers start fresh talks in push for a pay increase. Unions, that is Kupet and NAT, pushing for the same. Also wait to see how that will unfold. And again, inside Uhuru's 620 billion tax waivers to multinational firms. The multinational firms have been cited here, those that benefited from tax waivers in the previous regime, key among them being the British multinational currency printer De La Rue, and also we have the Kenya Breweries Limited, as well as the Moja Expressway. These are just among those companies that did benefit from that tax waivers. But also what is causing controversy there, as was mentioned by the new KRA body as they appeared before the Finance and National Planning Committee, is that the Treasury, the previous regime, that is one headed by Ukuri Atani, did bypass the KRA when it comes to the evasion of these taxes. As you may know, this is a function that solely lies within KRA. So KRA is the one that can actually proffer the exemption of taxes for various companies, depending on the various reasons that they have cited. This does not lie within the Treasury, but going by what they revealed just some 3 days back, is that Treasury did bypass KRA when it came to the exemption of these taxes, and this is part of the reason as to why they cited the low collection of taxes, so to speak, and also part of what has cost the country billions and billions of shillings because of those tax waivers. Again, also remember that De La Rue is the printing firm that has been over time printing currency for this country, but they did have to exit the market after they lost that tax war with the KRA firm. And lastly, just before I toss it over to Ram, still on this particular daily, that is the Daily Nation. Sugar scandal mastermind arrested. I am talking about Crispus Waithaka. This is the mastermind of that sugar scandal that we have witnessed for the past around 3 or 4 days. That this story has actually been making headwinds in mainstream media, and this in regards to the 20,000 bags of sugar that did disappear. This particular sugar has actually been staying in this warehouse since 2018. It was supposed to be destroyed then, but 5 years later, it has been there. And we're also looking at the entire 20,000 bags which have been missing. However, there are several bags that had been recovered in Eastleigh on Saturday by the police there, and also they're continuing to hunt for the various other bags of sugar. But the fear is that this could just be perhaps in the shelves, and Kenyans might just be consuming, and yet you're talking about condemned or contraband sugar, which is unfit for human consumption. In fact, the whole idea was to either destroy it at the manufacturer's expense, return it back to the manufacturer, or then distill it as ethanol. But that hasn't been the case since 2018. So just as I said, the police are still out in the run to ensure that they actually can be able to nab this 20,000 bags. I think around 14 bags have been recovered so far. You can imagine that's really a drop in the ocean compared to 20,000 bags which have been missing. Ram.
Yes, and of course we continue with what is in the headlines today on this fine Monday morning. And with me I have a copy of the Standard newspaper here on the front page of this particular paper. Teachers demand 42% salary raise. Of course, this is in regards to matters concerning the conversation that is ongoing in Parliament. Well, let's proceed. Let's take a look at what is highlighted here. The tutors say they cannot pay the housing levy without first getting an increment, as their salaries are too low and the cost of living has pushed many to the edge. They want the 2021 to 2025 CBA reopened. And according to the NAT Secretary General, that is Collins Oyu, he said, and I quote, "A teacher's payslip is already leaking and cannot support any further deduction with the new proposed housing levy on the cards. We are making demands for a pay review for teachers so that they can get cushioned from the plans. End of quote. And of course, let me quote also Ronald Tonui, who is the Kuppet Deputy National Treasurer. He says, and I quote, "Talks should be opened so that there is a smooth way of implementing the proposal. But if the government moves without allowing talks, then I am afraid it may create friction with workers." He goes on to say that it is our advice as teachers that we should open talks and negotiate away from the proposal for a 3% levy. End of quote. Still, on the front page of this paper, The Standard, before I delve deeper into these stories here, it is a do-or-die moment in Jubilee. It is a do-or-die moment in Jubilee, especially today. For Uhuru's Jubilee, we shall take a look at that in a bit. Also on the front page, the man named in sugar scandal arrested at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. We shall take a look at that in a bit. Still on the front page of The Standard, from Jesus to John the Baptist. From Jesus to John the Baptist. These are the prophets of the Mulembe nation.
Which
all right?
ones are those ones?
Take a look at that.
They're touching around my area. Which ones are these ones of the Mulembe nation?
I'll give you a glimpse of that in a bit. Of course, still on the front page, Sudan generals agree a 7-day ceasefire, and champions for city. It's how it ends. That is on matters concerning sports. Let's start with the teachers' conversation. How much you're interested in the Jesus, John the Baptist?
Before I get to Jesus and John the Baptist, you know that story of the teachers demanding 42% salary rise.
Yes.
This story is actually in every daily. Also, the Star. I am equally seeing that, and I liked what you said there. That part of the reason is because of the various levies. We are seeing this introduction of taxes. You just really can't quite tax where there's nothing more to be taxed about.
Especially when you want to deduct salaries, yet there is no increment in it. So
what do you deduct for?
But their proposal seems to make sense because
with the increment. Yes, that's the thing. So you increase first, then now you can deduct.
Then you can deduct.
Part of the reason why the civil servants are really complaining is the fact that good number of them, as they would say, they're already into this housing plans. Most of them, or significant percentage of them, they are paying for mortgages, as you've said, that over time, even in this particular set.
And they're also in SACCOs.
Yes. So then you gotta increase before you continue taxing. That's just what we're seeing that.
And of course, among the teachers' demand, KUPPET has tabled a proposal for 42% pay increase for teachers. The union wants the 2021 to 2025 CBA signed with TSC to pave the way for the new negotiation for salary increase for teachers, and they also demand fresh consultations in regards to this and public participation in the 3% housing levy. And the conversation is, was there sufficient public
participation? But the other thing is there even need for that public participation? Look at it this way. When you talked about the issue of the Chief Administrative Secretary, Public Service Commission did conduct public participation. And a paltry, if my memory serves me correct, I think 41% of Kenyans were proposing for this appointments. About 51% were saying no. But as we sit here, you and I, Ram, you realize we already have the CASs. So if simple mathematics tells you the majority were opposed to it, why do we still have them? So then if you ask the question of public participation even into this levy, will it yield fruits?
But I'm seeing some CSs are already in office. Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
They're working.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at a conversation here. Is this a case of impunity?
That's what I'm saying. So then is there even need for this public participation? Okay, it is a constitutional right, yes, but then...
Will it work?
That's what we are saying. Will it work? Will the views of the Kenyans be heard? Because right now, as we speak, various civil society groups are already opposing to this particular levies. Just last week, you did hear FKE say, that's the Federation of Kenyan employees. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
They did say that if at all this finance bill passes as is, and we are especially seeing the housing levy being imposed the way it is, then they will be forced to cut down on their number of employees. What does this do to the labor and the job market with the issue of unemployment in this country?
To make matters worse, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union,
KMPDU.
Yes, KMPDU. They have also been vocal in regards to this matter. And they have said, if we do not bring changes into this particular conversation, they will down their tools.
That's now look at that. We are having various civil society groups and
now
various
coming
groups.
into the conversation.
Yes, and they're saying that this needs to be looked into. Already that should tell you the kind of direction that this is taking, this particular bill is taking with the section of Kenyans.
And they're saying it should not be passed in parliament. They do not want it to pass in parliament. KMPDU says this must not be passed in parliament, and if it is passed,
We're seeing the repercussions.
yes, they will down their tools.
Let's see the weight of public participation in this one. But we're almost closing, yeah?
You can give us maybe the front page of the Star before I come to matters concerning Jesus and John the Baptist.
The Star, similar stories. Jubilee confusion, Uhuru exerts control. This is in regards that NDC taking place today, and you really need to stick around for this conversation coming in a few with Victor there. We're already seeing the guests streaming in studio, so it's going to be an interesting, cogent discussion there for you to just watch it and see what way Jubilee with the two factions, the Kanini Kega-led faction. We also equally have the Jeremiah Kioni-led faction, still maintaining that the NDC is going to be taking place. Remember that Kanini Kega faction did say that this is illegal and needs not to take place. So we see how all this will unpack and unfold. And also media owners reject proposed digital tax. This has also been featured on the Star, tucked away in page 2 through 4 of the same particular daily. And this is in regards to that digital tax, which is equally featuring in the finance bill being proposed at 15%. Currently, as it stands, we do not have that existing. But if this passes, then we're looking at the digital tax being at the rate of 15%. So this is what media owners are now rejecting, and they are against. That's what you're saying, Ram. Look at that.
And I'm looking at
something else.
What they're saying, is it something that is factual? They're saying that now we are 8 months down the line, 9 months down the line.
Yes.
And the former president's regime ended many months ago. It was supposed to end now within 6 months. We've gone beyond that duration, that time period. They're saying that former President Uhuru Kenyatta is no longer the party leader. Now, they made a request, and I remember when they were talking, they were even speaking with the current President William Ruto, and they were saying, after your regime, after your tenure, please exit and allow the party to continue. Should former President Uhuru Kenyatta exit the party now that he's no longer president?
That's the law. In the Retirement Benefits Act, it does stipulate that you can no longer be active in politics in that regard, at least up to 6 months. So then those 6 months lapsed. So that's what we're waiting to see. Is it a preserve of following what the Retirement Benefits Act does stipulate? We are also seeing very important persons still active in politics, the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga. So then does this particular act apply to specific people? To how long and to what extent does it go? Just as we said, it's going to be an interesting discussion coming away in a short while.
And of course, Victor
Uhuru Kenyatta is still very young, as you know, most would say. We've not really had the previous retired president, they've not retired at the kind of age that Uhuru Kenyatta has. So in that regard, we consider him young as such.
Still, yeah. But already there have been pictures going around social media. Tents have already been pitched at
NDC is happening.
They're saying it's happening. They're expecting over 5,000 delegates to attend this particular meeting. The question is, will it happen? Now,
will it happen?
From Jesus to John the Baptist.
As we close.
As we close. Prophets of the Mulembe nation. And of course, claiming to be gods, a number of sect leaders have treated the Mulembe nation, Western Kenya, and we are referring to also parts of the North Rift, to drama in the last 6 months. Now we are looking at from Prophet Elijah Masinde of Dini ya Msambwa which was a religious, a political sect that was popular from the 1960s to the 1990s, to the self-proclaimed Jehovah Wanyonyi, to Nabi Yohana, the fifth, and the latest of all, Yesu wa
Tongaren.
Correct. Through their belief in the false doctrines and heretic teachings, their word is the law, and this has blinded many of the followers who are within these particular sects. We have some of these, men of God, quote and unquote. Nabi Yohana, that is Prophet John the fifth, Nabi Yohana watano, he has 46 wives and 298 children. He claims to have healed 70,000 people.
Is that factual? 46 wives?
Somebody tell me, is it factual? The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya.
Is that practical?
He has written his own Bible with 93 books.
My kin, what is happening? My kindred.
Let me talk about Yesu wa Tongaren. He has 7 children and 1 wife, and of course that is at least...
that is practical.
Well, he has 12 disciples, and his wife is called Nabi Benjamin. He celebrates his Easter in July. Jehovah Wanyonyi, of course, he died at the age of 98 in the year 2015. He left behind, get this, you are saying that 46 wives is too much.
Yes.
Your question whether it's factual. Well, Jehovah Wanyonyi left behind 70 widows. 70. And he demanded 3 billion Kenya shillings from the state for punishing the nation with HIV.
The state didn't do that.
Well, he demanded it. And of course, sect leaders mainly from Bungoma and Trans Nzoia have seen their followers go out of their way to get their blessings. Some of these prophets claim that they will never die, and if they do, they will resurrect and bring salvation to humankind.
You know, yesterday while watching the news at night, I did come across a story. Was it yesterday or was it on Saturday? But then the story was of a specific church. The name eludes me. But this specific church, the two key bishops or pastors, they lost their lives. And the burial is set for this week, Thursday. So what the members have been doing is they've been praying over their bodies to resurrect, because there were 2 key main elements or 2 key main persons in this denomination. Now, what they're saying is that today is Monday. So if it reaches on Thursday at 8 a.m. and their bodies haven't resurrected, then they'll go ahead and bury them. But their hope is that between now or the time that they began praying for these bodies to resurrect and Thursday, is that they will actually resurrect. So the underlying question was, is this a question of faith or a question of, for lack of a better word, as a reporter put it then, stupidity?
There's one thing that I want to quote here, and of course this is based on the Bible. The Bible says that a time is coming where false prophets will be there. False prophets, and many will follow their teachings. This is what we are seeing today. Kenyans do not follow any person that just calls themselves a man of God. We have one who calls himself, that is Nabi Yohana watano. He claims to be the reincarnated John the Baptist, the one with the 46 wives. Do not believe.
And you can imagine our vulnerability as individuals will actually believe that.
One thing that the Bible says also is, you will know them by their fruits. If somebody is a true man of God, you will see it, you will know it. The Bible also says that the word of God has been tried and tested and proven to be something that works. If their teachings do not work, leave them alone.
But there's something that also has come out with regards to this issue of churches, just following what has been happening in Shakahola, and we know that that exhumation process has been put on a hold, at least for now, until they can finish up the postmortems of the second phase, which had been conducted. We're talking about 238 bodies which have been exhumed.
Surely.
A total of 613 still missing, people missing their persons. But in regards to this, the Interior CS has now said that whether we like it or not, regulation of churches is actually going to take place. Yeah. And perhaps this is something that will feature with the Senate deliberations as they resume tomorrow, part of what might just feature, you know, in their discussions. So perhaps we wait to see how that will come out. And even as talk about this regulation, I know we've had this discussion over time because the CS said that nonetheless it's going to take place. I wonder the kind of format the regulations will take.
And senators
what benchmark will be used to regulate, like which church, which denomination will be used to actually regulate churches as is?
I believe that we just need to just call a spade a spade. Anything, if it looks like a cow,
then
it moves like a cow.
I just went ahead and said that it's just a cow.
it is a cow. We need to call a spade and just call it as it is. Senators are now seeking for the deletion of Mackenzie's cult teachings. Remember, every time you turn on your TV, you will come across a particular church TV.
Yes.
So we need to just be careful about...
With the inception of digital TV, or when we moved from analog to digital, that's when we had a lot of that.
Yes. And Kenyans, my call to you all, just know the Bible. Read the Bible by yourself. The Word of God is there for you to just get it, accept it, understand it, and, you know, just know the difference between black and white. You will know them by their fruits. If you taste something and it looks like a banana, it feels like a banana, but when you taste it, someone tells you it is an apple.
How now?
How now? Sometimes some things are just things that we need to open up our eyes, but you see, people suffer for lack of knowledge. You will not believe this because you do not read the Bible.
I'm also seeing something quite interesting, Ram, away from the church and religion.
Cholera.
No.
What?
At the bottom there, sugar.
Oh, the
yes, this is what I'm talking about. Sugar is not in the shelves, as is, if you've noticed, if you've gone to the supermarket, and the prices have increased to almost double for a 2 kg packet of sugar. The interesting bit was, and the question that was being proffered was, with the 20,000 bags, yes, this is condemned sugar, counterfeit, as was mentioned, but then this is out there. It's just somewhere out there because it's missing, except for the 14 bags which have been retrieved, which were retrieved on Saturday. So if you have these bags out in the market, what would actually cause the prices of sugar to go high? Because then you're talking about sugar that is actually okay and good for human and fit for consumption, and we equally have the counterfeit. So that should tell you ideally that there's surplus of this commodity for it to actually cause the prices to go high.
Now, let me tell you something about surplus of this particular commodity. And in one particular area, Taita Taveta. Now, in Taita Taveta, ladies and gentlemen, the residents within that area have protested at the frequent rise in the prices of essential commodities like sugar and maize flour. Now, they noted that most of them had stopped using sugar because it was unaffordable. They stopped using sugar, they stopped buying sugar.
What did they pick as an alternative?
I don't know, I have no idea.
Should I just quit sugar?
They did. And in fact, traders claimed that they have stopped selling sugar because residents are just not buying them. If you look at one particular kilo of sugar, it used to retail at between 140 shillings to 180 shillings, but it's now 240 shillings to 260 shillings.
Double the price.
Double the price. Traders are not buying them. Traders are not selling them, and the residents are not buying them. Taita Taveta Deputy County Commissioner Joseph Mericho said that he was not aware of any shortage or hoarding of sugar.
So what then is causing the shortage? What else is causing this shortage?
Yeah.
Quite interesting. You say there, but ideally, really something needs to be done, because when you look at it, you realize, well, this continues to skyrocket the cost of living of basic commodities. Sugar, key among them, I should say. Look at just the various other commodities out in the market.
Maize flour.
Yes. Exactly. This coming amidst just the discussed and talked about high cost of living as is.
And somebody should tell us here.
Yeah, with this tough economic times. But even as we wind down, perhaps we just need to finish by saying the probe that is being done, perhaps they need to just expedite the process and recover the remaining bags of sugar. You can imagine this sugar that is out in the market. I was reading that this particular condemned sugar has the ability to actually cause, what is this? Is it salmonella? I'm forgetting the last name of this particular disease. And this has a bad effect on one's health for this consumption. But you realize, even with this sugar being out in the market in surplus like that, with the high prices of sugar, then perhaps this could even be lower in terms of prices. This could cause Kenyans to run to that. But look at the kind of ripple effect it has on one's health. So perhaps there needs to be a quickie in regards to how they are trying to recover this condemned sugar. But also my biggest question would be, since 2018, what was this sugar doing in their warehouse for 5 whole years?
And of course, remember, the sugar had traces of mercury according to investigations.
And that's what we are saying. That's what has the potential to cause this.
Last week,
as we finish, Ram.
Yes, last week, President William Ruto suspended 27 state officials, including KEBS managing director, after it emerged that contaminated sugar was in circulation. Well, we invite you to be part of this conversation. Tell us what you think about these stories that are making headlines today. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. My handle is at Ram Maguko, and at Doreen Arange at Victor Olo is his handle. Tell us what you think about these particular stories making headlines. What is the price of sugar from where you are? What is the price of sugar?
Yes,
somebody talk to me.
Yes, yes. Is it 480?
Is it 280?
Yes.
Yeah? And of course, Victor Olo is coming up next with Eye on Politics, coming up in a bit.
Stick around for that. We take that break. Stay with us.
Waza sikukuta mimi. Jamani. Mashallah.
Chama Sunday, what is going on?
What is going on, Wabe?
Songa pela kidogo.
Karatasi ndakutia baba.
Nyakusuilia unyefu na umomonyoko wa maji kwenye
Mata wasaba.
Ya bwana. Hey.
Congratulations. Wow.
Kai. Ni sumu mbaya sana hii. Sumu. Unanyolewa. Very good.
Wewe tatika. Friday, prasa ya makanika ndio unaweka kwa masikio.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We'll let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
You don't call anymore, 'cause I'm still thinking about you. Have you found somebody new? From you know your soul clean. Red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green. Human race, running in a human race, yeah. What a disgrace. Human beings when a human.
Evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We'll let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the Hustler Fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that? No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5.
1 out of 5?
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard, every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
It is one of the oldest competitions in football history, the DFB Pokal. Catch all the high-tempo fun, the cheers and tears as football made in Germany comes to you live on KBC Channel 1.
Gorgeous little flick from Mario Götze. Let's in Colomani to score. His 4th in the competition this season. Way better than any blockbuster.
Don't miss the grand finale on the 3rd of June 2023. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
And welcome back. Okay, that background looks different, but anyway, we'll take care of that. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor Lowe. Now let's take a look at what we have on Iron Politics. In studio with me, I have got two advocates of the High Court, two gentlemen who are, all right, let me start with Ishmael Nyaribo, who is an advocate of the High Court, and Kidi Mwaga, who is a lawyer and a political analyst. He is also a columnist in one of the local dailies. I will tell you which one, and of course get into one of his pieces that is written today. But nonetheless, gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Before we started the show, my colleagues asked the price of sugar. I don't know what's the price of sugar where you come from. Do you even go to the supermarket, Wakil Ishmael?
Yeah, I go to the supermarket, I buy. I think the last I bought it was about, is it 430?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that is at the, not at the supermarket exactly, but
yes,
at, you know, these fast shops in the like Total, Shell, those shops. It might be slightly lower in the supermarket. Yeah. But that's the price. Yes.
You know, Kidi Mwaga comes from a region where sugar comes from. And you have to tell us why the price of sugar is so high. Welcome to the program for the first time.
Thank you. No, yes, thank you very much. I have been on KBC before.
Okay.
It's good to be back.
Karibu.
When you said two advocates of the High Court, I shook my head. In part because I am with senior here.
Yes.
And masquerading in the law profession is a very serious offense. So yes, I am a lawyer, but yet to sign the role of advocates.
Thank you.
It is imperative to point that out.
No problem.
Sugar prices have gone up exponentially. But then, as Adam Smith would say, that there is constantly a hidden hand in determining the prices of goods in a free market. So the question is right now, is it that the consumption has peaked? I mean, the demand for sugar, or is it that supply has dropped significantly? We know that in a year we produce about 600,000 metric tons, but then our consumption is slightly above 1 million. So the question, constantly we have been plugging that deficit by sugar from the Comesa market. So the question is, what happened that we did not plug in that deficit in time, such that the sugar prices, as a result, then have shoot up through the roof?
Yeah.
Yes. So that is the problem. The problem is the question of supply and demand, and it seems that we did not act in good time to plug the deficit. Thank you.
Now that you come from the sugar belt,
don't we have? I mean, I don't get. There's so much sugar cane in Mumias, in Muhoroni.
In Migori, where I come from.
Yes.
In these areas of Transmara. I mean, there's land which actually we can use to plant sugar. So I still don't get why we keep saying there is no sugar in the country, there is no maize.
Yes.
We have huge tracts of land. I never went to any supermarket when I was young, in fact, until past university, because we had maize at home, we had cassava, we had beans.
Yeah.
So the question to me would be, why have we stopped planting?
Have we stopped planting?
You see now, Mumia Sugar went down.
Yes.
Many sugar company, sugar milling companies actually went down.
Yes.
That should be the question. Why are we killing the local industry in favor of bringing contaminated sugar from outside the country?
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, when you go to Mumias, around that area, most of the farmers actually cleared their lands.
Yes.
They have now resorted into some kind of farming, which, again, if you ask me, could even contribute to the shortage of sugar that we have in the country. But we're still talking about the issue of sugar.
Part of the problem, just to add on to what Senior is saying,
yes,
is that the problem could also be part of the economic institutions we have set up. Our polity has either extractive economic institutions or inclusive economic institutions. One thing about extractive economic institutions is that usually it places economic advantages in the hands of a few people to the detriment of so many. So that when Mumias Sugar is underperforming, when Moroni Sugar is underperforming, when Sony Sugar is unable to employ people as it used to, it is unable to give opportunity as it used to, sometimes in part it is because of the extractive economic institutions that have taken root, and a few people are using these institutions for self-profiteering at the expense of the members of the public.
But when you look at, for example, Sony Sugar, I mean, they've had their fair share for a very long time. The government trying to bail them out, billions of shillings being pumped there. Privatization debate has been there for a very long time. I mean, from that region, what really happens as professionals from that area?
Well, I am cautious not to blame politics because it is almost akin to, you know, passing blame.
Yes.
But then, of course, politics have got a role to play. Every year, Mumias has been a campaign issue, so that every government coming into office will go to Mlembe Nation and promise that we are going to revive Mumias Sugar. Usually, it is always about 1 billion shillings every electoral cycle. So that when every president is coming, we know that 1 billion shillings will be going to Mumias Sugar. In 3 months, then there is again nothing happening in Mumias. So I think it is time we also fix our politics. We fix people we elect, and especially usually when we talk about people we elect, everyone thinks it is the president. It starts with the member of parliament you elect, the governor you have, the senator you have. If those people can act in the interest of the people, if they can pile pressure on the necessary institutions, then in a small way that would, you know, get us out of this revolving door.
All right.
So you say bottom-up economy, for example, is a very good model if it is implemented, definitely. Then the people in Mashinani would actually benefit. So the people in Mumias should actually go back to doing their sugarcane farming. The people in the highlands should go back to doing their tea farming. They should not uproot it. So that the Mashinani people are being assisted. So this is where now we want to see whether bottom-up model is working or not. In fact, we should now not be worried about cartels, and we should not be worried about the politics, the cycle of politics played in the sugar industries and other agricultural industries. What is the bottom-up economy? What is the bottom-up model doing? Is it saving? Is it helping? Or it was actually simply semantics used for political gain? I think this is the test. Is the UDA bottom-up model going to turn around things as promised or not? At least so far to date, in the sugar industry, that has not happened. In the tea industry, there is a bit of movement, but in maize farming, there is still a shortage. So I think because Kenyans have discovered big money, and they have realized if we come together between the 4 of us and go to State House and speak to the president, he may hear us, and the president will be kind to hear you. But when you're bringing the sugar, you're actually bringing it to kill the Kenyans. So there is a big problem about whether Kenyans want to be honest with their with their dealings, or they want to be dishonest and kill people. So we should have no reason really why we miss sugar.
Gentlemen, when you look at the cost of importing sugar in the country and that aspect of supporting farmers and bailing out these companies, we have got Mumias Sugar with issue with Sarai and all that. Sony Sugar is not the way it used to be in the 90s or even the 80s.
Or even early 2000.
Exactly. Why not stop the importation of sugar? Right now we have got a scandal. I mean, a gentleman was arrested at the airport yesterday, and the government is now running around 20,000 bags of sugar gone missing. All these are poisoned sugar. Just a question. Why not support farmers and say we are not going to do importation of sugar? Now, what is the deficit? Farmers, what are you lacking? Is it having modernized machines in Sony Sugar, in Mumias, wherever it is? Then now move forward and start helping these people to come back to life instead of importing sugar. Let me start with you, Wakili.
Thank you. Wakili, what Wakili has said last, just before you post the question, he has actually spoken to what I had described earlier as extractive economic institutions. It's only that he is more blunt, of course. One thing about the problem with the sugar and even the food sector is that I am cautious again not to pass blame. But then because we have a new regime administration in office, it is time that that administration gets its acts together. And an administration can only get its acts together when, among other things, it is able to feed its people. So that part of the challenge is that we have got a rising population, but we are getting increasingly broken food systems. So that it is not only about sugar. Senior has spoken about maize. There is a challenge with other sectors. There is a question of the value chain. So that say is a herder in Samburu or Isiolo getting value for his cattle, when the cattle is brought to the Kenya Meat Commission and slaughtered for beef, then what happens to the hide? What happens to the hoofs? What happens to the bones? So that I think the Ministry of Agriculture has got its work cut out for it. That we must, one, be able to plug the broken food systems. And that is end-to-end vigilance. Production, post-harvest practices. How do we add value to this produce? How do we market? How do we remove the middlemen who take advantage of farmers? And then how do we ensure that we avail this food on the table when it is fresh, when it is nutritious, when the buyer, the final buyer, gets value for money? How do we end the problem of, is it called milk glut? When we have to pour milk, how do we ensure that the maize we produce in the Rift Valley, that we do not have to deal with the question of aflatoxin, so that that food is eaten by our children, and then they are, they don't get sick. So those are the things that I think we have to deal with as a country.
So just because you said blunt, that is true. What you're actually saying is the president promised that the moment I put my Bible down, I will deal with cartels. That's where the secret lies. By the time you give somebody a license to import sugar, there is a small process. Now it involves the State House and a few other, maybe Sugar Authority and a few other people. There are not so many. So you ask, where are the cartels? The cartels are not in Nyamira, by the way. They are in State House and they are in the Sugar Authority. For the people bringing in the sugar. I mean, we have to be honest. If we go around philosophy or semantics, our viewers will not understand what is the problem. So if we have so much sugar in Soni, Muhoroni, and in Mumias, sugar cane, we can import the sugar cane. Even as raw as it is, we can import the sugar canes so that the sugar cane can be taken to Tanzania or Zambia or South Africa to be processed as sugar there. So the local farmer will still earn something for his pocket. We are not doing this. Why? Because the middlemen, so to say cartels, want to make big money and more money at the expense of the local person. And this can be dealt with the president, this can be dealt with UDA very squarely. He has actually said, the president is very clear, he will not entertain corruption. We believe him to some extent because he has already handled KEMSA. We have seen how he's ruthlessly dealing with anybody suspected of cartels. Now I'm very sure he will deal with this sugar scandal. So this week we will see some people,
going home.
And then fresh people will be appointed and instructed that, Kenya is so corrupt and we always hide behind words. If we are all corrupt, if the country is corrupt, why can't we even have rules which at least protect the exposed people from the very corrupt people? You say that, for example, you cannot, if you bring contaminated sugar, this one we are not negotiating because you are killing people. So I think that sometimes we pretend like we are in a church service. We are in Kenya and everyone is looking for an opportunity to grab something to eat. And it is only the fool who walks away from the food. So why can't we then have rules that once you have achieved reaching and you have seen the food, you cannot pick all of it?
In the spirit of having a bottom-up economy and, the president talked about agribusiness and supporting the farmers. Let me get your views here, gentlemen. How does this really affect the name of the new administration? How does it affect the stability of the new regime? Because it says that it started some months back, but now the president is dealing with it currently. Kidi?
I'm not sure I got the question. Ask the question again.
How does it affect the...
What exactly?
How does it affect...
Exactly. Corruption.
Exactly.
The corruption.
Because when you look at the importation of sugar, we have it right now. KEMSA had their fair share just the other day. A couple of guys went home. KEBS is on the line as we speak. As a few people, the president will say that he's also going to act. Do you think that the president is speaking on a high note?
Well, I think one thing, we will be kind to the president that he is in office just 7 months and the governance in itself is not, instant coffee. There is usually the difficult bits to grapple with. And as Colin Powell once said, that the American government is like a beast. When you kick its legs, it takes 2 years for the pain to be transmitted to the brain. But that is also true for governments across the globe, including our government. So I want us to momentarily take a brief look at the anatomy of corruption, especially big corruption. And when I say big corruption, I mean big corruption in the public space. Yeah. So there is usually 3 institutions involved. There is usually the presidency, there is usually the security sector, there is usually the treasury. Look at Goldenberg.
What about the judiciary?
I want to big corruption.
Okay.
Yes. So especially one that you'd call smash and grab. Look at Goldenberg, look at Anglo-Leasing, look at Eurobond. So part of why currently I think the anti-corruption crusaders have got a reason to smile is that usually the architects of big corruption usually blindside the president or they capture the presidency. Usually the promise is we need to fundraise for re-election. Yeah. So you look at Goldenberg, there was need to fundraise for election. You look at Anglo-Leasing, people are building war chests, one for referendum and for re-election. I do not know if that was the same case for Eurobond, but it is imperative to note that it took place in first term. So this is a president who has been elected into office when he did not have much in comparison to the combined financial muscles of his opponents. So I do not think that right now robber barons would go to him and tell him that, Mr. President, we need to fundraise. Yeah. So we need to smash and grab, say, KBC. Of course, KBC right now, there is nothing to be grabbed. We need to, you understand. So I think that is a saving grace.
At least I'm safe.
And we have, and we have seen the decisiveness with which he dealt with the KEMSA issue. Part of the challenge in the war against corruption has been the lack of the political goodwill. You see, by the time President Kibaki was acting in 2005, when Githongo was now coming out, so much damage had happened. You see, when President Uhuru attempted to act on corruption, but you realize that there was also a disconnect at the state law office. Yes. Should we call it state law office or the criminal justice system? Yes, there was a disconnect with how prosecution was being conducted. So I think that when we have a political goodwill, when we have a president who is hands-on, that, in my view, would in a big way help streamline the war on corruption. Okay. Yes.
I just want to say this: there's nothing new that has happened. Corruption has not increased, as we may say. These things were there in the previous regime. They were there even in the regimes of 90s, and they have always been there. The difference is the UDA campaign mantra was explicitly clear. The standards were set. They were set at a high bar. So the issue today is when you said that sugar will come down to 70 shillings and now it is 430. Yeah. It was to be like this even if Raila Odinga went to State House. It was still to go up and higher because the economies of scale are not being...
What are some of the indicators? I mean, that's really worrying to the common Mwananchi who says that probably the next 2-3 years is going to be 1,000 shillings.
No, what I'm trying to say, Victor, just if you give me a moment, the truth is the economic factors that are affecting the whole globe, the whole world, are also affecting Kenya. Yes. What the Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta handshake did, they actually were shouldering some of these expenses through what UDA is very agitated about, which is subsidies. And to enable the former regime bear the a bit of the burden of the citizens, they decided if fuel is 180, we will pay 50, so pay 140. You see what happened, or 100, so pay 100. Now, what William Ruto in his economic policy is telling us is that is wrong because it was creating a hole in the exchequer in our economy. He's saying, you carry on cross for some time until we stabilize and then we see whether that fuel can go down to 100. It will never be possible for fuel to go down to 100 shillings because you compare the prices with what is in the global market, it is always going to be higher. Now, Kenyans were not prepared for this. Whether William Ruto and UDA will actually withstand this frustration of citizens is something else. Somebody was telling me, Victor, if Raila Odinga called for maandamano only on food stuff and maandamano on maisha imepanda, I am told in Kericho, in Eldoret, in Uasin Gishu, everybody will go to the street.
Yeah.
The problem is bringing in the open cassava thing, which scares people that this might expose us. Are you seeing?
Yes.
But so if he decides, no, on economic improvement, we want people in the street, everyone will go. Nobody actually will support the president at the moment, because life has gone very high and people are not eating well as they expected. So it is not that UDA has come in and has messed anything, really, if we have to be honest with everybody. But the promise was so high that the moment I put the Bible down, I will deal with all these cartels. Now, the same cartels are approaching you and saying we want to fundraise for 2027. Now, that is where the problem is. And we knew it, and we said it before, that the economy of this country was not being spoiled by Uhuru Kenyatta. That is really a fallacy, and it was a pure lie. Economic conditions were changing world over after COVID. But you chose to say the real culprit is handshake. Now, there is no handshake, except the one we saw at the Gor Mahia and the FC. That's number one. So we need now to see that the UDA, as a leading party, should be able to actually make practical the bottom-up model of economy.
Okay.
So that the little person, people are buying, this small, goro that for maize. They are, I'm told it's 200 plus. 200 plus. So the issue is not even that price. How are our people going to eat? Do we want to suffocate them like Shakahola and they will die actually without eating? So something must be done by the government.
Let's take a break. I think we just had to start on a sweetening note, because sugar is affecting. Somebody was making some fun out of it. That a 2 kg of sugar is 430 and 50 kg bag of cement is 700. Do the math. All right. Briefly,
diabetes.
Exactly. Should we use sugar or cement in our tea? That is just on a lighter note, though. So we have got a press conference that will be happening at the Serena Hotel. That is the launch of the African Private Sector Dialogue on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, hosted under the 3rd Kenya International Investment Conference, that is KIICO 2023, that is going to be hosted by Cabinet Secretary Honorable Moses Kuria. So that is a Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry through the Kenya Investment Authority hosting the African Private Sector Dialogue on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, themed Unlocking Africa's Gateway. The upcoming dialogue is a key pillar under the 3rd Kenya International Investment Conference, and the dialogue will also bring together local and international investors, business captains, traders, development partners, and policymakers drawn from both the government and the private sector to discuss strategies for unlocking Africa's potential in the areas of investment, trade, and the implementation. And finally, ahead of the upcoming African Private Sector Dialogue, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry will hold a media briefing that will be happening at the Serena Hotel later on to give us more highlight on this particular conference. Now, that is happening live from the Serena Hotel. There's a live feed from Serena Hotel, the 3rd International Investment Conference taking place there. All right,
Victor,
so right about now,
I actually researched on this.
we take a break. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more after this. Stay with us.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do. When you hear that.
It is one of the oldest competitions in football history, the DFB Pokal. Catch all the high-tempo fun, the cheers and tears as football made in Germany comes to you live on KBC Channel 1.
Gorgeous little flick from Mario Götze. Let's in Colomani to score his fourth in the competition this season. Way better than any blockbuster.
Don't miss the grand finale on the 3rd of June 2023. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Nikikuona kazona waza sikukuta mimi jamani mashallah.
Chamato Sunday, what is going on?
What is going on, Wabe?
Songa pela kidogo.
Karatasi ndakutia baba.
Nyakusuilia unyefu na umomonyoko wa maji kwenye
Mata wasaba.
Ya bwana. Hey.
Congratulations. Wow.
Kai. Ni sumu mbaya sana hii. Sumu. Unanyolewa. Very good.
Wewe tatika. Nini? Friday prasa ya makanika ndio unaweka kwa masikio.
From you know your soul clean. Red, gold and green. Red, gold and green. Human race, running in a human race, yeah. What a disgrace. Human beings when I human.
Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the hustler fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard. Every Tuesday at 10.
All right, and welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, just to give you an update that what is happening at Serena is the media launch, actually, for the African Private Sector Dialogue on the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, hosted under the 3rd Kenya International Investment Conference, KIICO 2023, hosted by the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Moses Kuria. But the main event will take place at the Safari Park on 29th, 30th and 31st. That is next week. But this one is the media launch for this 3rd session. Wakili Nyaribo, briefly you said that you did a bit of some research.
No, I've
All
looked
right.
at, yes, the agreement itself.
Let's listen to what's happening shortly before we come back. All right. Thank you.
Trade without discussing digital trade and its importance and value in the digital economy. So we hope to participate as thought leaders in that space. We met with Honorable CS at the AmCham, on the sidelines of the AmCham Summit, where we launched a paper on digital trade, and I want to thank Honorable CS for his fidelity to that. In that particular bilateral, he discussed his advocacy for digital trade and its importance, and we thank him for inviting us to take part in this conference to discuss this important topic. Thank you very much.
I'd like to confirm if Meta is here. Mercy, okay. As she makes her way, maybe we could just invite the American Chamber to speak on behalf of our partners.
Very good morning, everybody. CS, PS, guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Okello. I represent a network of over 200 American and Kenyan businesses that are invested in this commercial relationship between Kenya and the US. Recently, as recent as March 30th, we signed an MOU with Ken Invest and the US Embassy, together with AmCham, to support and promote trade and investment between Kenya and the US. And I think this KICO conference is a perfect platform for us to start that journey and demonstrate this partnership. So I'm really glad that our members are here, including Microsoft, Meta, Tattoo, and so many others that will be participating in this. I just want to mention real quick that we will be hosting or co-hosting digital trade, AFCFTA digital trade workshop on the margins of this conference, and the objective of that particular forum is to look at the digital trade protocols under the AFCFTA, so to ensure that as a private sector, our voice, our input is actually taken into consideration in that process. So thank you very much, and looking forward to the conference. Thank you.
To the partners that have not had a chance to say something, we appreciate you. We'll create an opportunity. Okay, Mabati rolling now.
Buenas CS, Honorable CS Kuria, Honorable PSS, and all our esteemed guests, good morning. Good morning. My name is Jane Dungo from Mabati Rolling Mills, one of the key operations for Safal Group. We have our wings across Africa, across 8 other countries, and we are really glad to be invited as partners for this conference because we believe that apart from investing in Kenya, there's opportunity to invest in other African countries and just show the muscle of Africa, the muscle of Kenya as a front runner in investment. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Multi-choice. Please come and say hi and tell us what you have for us.
Thank you, June. Our CS, all protocol observed.
As MultiChoice, being the leading video entertainment provider in Africa, we shall be offering Signal across both DSTV and GoTV for the period of the conference, just to ensure that we are able to broadcast the entire engagement, including Madaraka Day, on TV across Africa and across all the markets that we operate in. We look forward to a great conference, and we are ready to support the government of Kenya. Thank you.
We truly appreciate you. I can see Mercy from Meta.
Good morning, everyone. Really pleased to be here as Meta representing, let me say, tech industry, and I'm sure there's others in the room. We are really keen to see how the digital trade will be supported by big tech and also other tech companies to enhance the use of online platforms for businesses to be able to leverage and scale their reach across the continent and to be able to interconnect with one another. So that's really the main reason why Meta is supportive of this process and looking forward to see how we proceed with this work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mercy. On behalf of the CEOs here present, I would like to invite the CEO KBC.
Good morning. My name is Samuel Maina, the Managing Director KBC, Waziri Katibu, and viongozi wa private sector. We are very happy as Kenya Broadcasting Corporation to be media partner. As you know, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is the only broadcasting house in Kenya. The others are media houses. And we are really keen to work with the Kenya government to tell the Kenyan story. The stories about trade are the most important stories. Ni kuweka pesa mfukoni. Asante.
Last but not least, it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Joshua Igora, the CEO of Stanbic, Kenya and South Sudan.
Thank you very much, June. Dr. Joshua Igara, I think I got an honor the other day, but I will. But let me say one thing. For Waziri, I don't know how many people know Moses Kuria quite well. I've worked with him many years. I've seen him work in the last few months, and it definitely serves a combination for the work. Can we clap your hand clap for the work? If you want to catch up with him, you can try and see if you can catch up with him, Moses, and you can struggle to catch up. Yeah. So I would say well done for the work that you've done. The PS and the chair, the CEO who is here, and colleagues, Bernard and the rest. What I would say is a couple of items because of time. I represent Standard Bank here through Stanbic Kenya. And when you reflect on the three aspects, today we spoke about trade, but we speak about investment. We also speak about manufacturing or industry. These are the three aspects that really changes our markets. So, Waziri, if you think about what we are bringing in this conference, and I have a chance to spend many times traveling across the continent, there isn't really any country today that you can say is ready and has got the opportunities to build investment and trade than Kenya. There is no other country. And sometimes we don't always appreciate it because we always see our lens, right? Yeah. From the southern part of Africa, Standard Bank operates, is Africa's largest bank. We operate across 21 countries, from south and the west, the north and the east. And I can assure you that this kind of conference and what we have today, we're bringing all those resources across many markets. So it's an opportunity for us. So the engagement and different partners we see today will be a good moment for us to build jobs for our younger people, to be able to enhance SME trade in our markets where we are. Africa is willing to be served by us. And I was mentioning to PS earlier that majority of our trade and volumes will have to go to the continent, Africa Free Continental Trade Area today, than what we see today as Europe or into Asian markets. So there's a lot of chance. I've attended the first two conferences in the last few years. So we're looking forward to be able to bring in our partnership, our support. We actually do connect trade across all these countries. There is no other bank on the continent. And if you either we are in Luanda today, or if you are in Maputo, or you are somewhere in Lagos, or you want to do some, you will find us, and we can give you that connection for the investors. We, on behalf of our group president, who I think we've been invited to join us in the event, Sim Shebalala, I want to give you my regards. to yourself, Moses, and the team, and looking forward. So as Stanbic, we're here to give you all the support and partnership to make this event a big success. We finance investment, we finance trade, we finance industry. Thank you very much for hosting us this morning.
So I've got a chance to say, Daktari, thank you very much. Africa is ready to be served by us. Great testament. As a country, we really must embrace who we are and appreciate that the continent is looking up to us to provide leadership in investment and in the service sector. That is great inspiration right there. Without further ado, what he didn't tell us is that he's inviting top 100 Pan-African companies to join us in this conference. That would be great. You don't want to miss that opportunity. I'd like to invite the PS in charge of investment, Hassan Abubakar, to give his remarks and to invite the Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you very much, June. CS Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, Honorable Moses Kuria, Dr. Joshua Oigara, CEO of Stanbic Bank, distinguished partners and guests, good morning. My job is just to welcome the CS, but I'd like to say three things before I do that. One, I would like to thank the team which has been working on this event. When I was sworn in, the first instruction I was given by the cabinet minister was to host the ABSA 100 conference and the KICO, the Kenya International Investment Conference. And I'm happy to note that at the end of this month, we are going to realize what we have been instructed to do. Two, I would like to thank very much the team which have been meticulously planning this, the team from Kenya Invest, the team from the ministry, the team from the government and other non-government sectors. They have been meticulously planning this, flawlessly executing this. We have been receiving briefs and we are confident with the level of preparedness, and we are looking forward for a successful event at the end of this month. Three, I would like to thank the partners for believing in our cause, for supporting us, and inching closer to the realization of our goal. As far as the State Department of Investment is doing, we are determined to deliver on our commitments that we have put to the Kenyan people. We know we have a target, the FDI target of $10 billion. We've been given by the CS and the President. We have recasted and retooled our investment promotion agenda into three-pronged strategies. One is investment attraction, two is investment facilitation, and three is investment enabling. Under the investment attraction strategy, this is where these forums are coming in. You cannot you cannot attract if you're not attractive. And you can also attract, even if you're attractive, people cannot be attracted to you if people do not know about your attractive features. So our first strategic initiative is to enhance our investment and business climate, which we are doing it very well. And two is to develop investment-grade investment opportunities for the people to take advantage of. So the third strategic initiative is aggressive campaign of both the investment climate and the investment-grade opportunities to the world for people to take advantage of. And that is why this hosting of these conferences, it's a platform for us to showcase the investment opportunities, the investment climate we're in here, we're having in Kenya, and an opportunity to engage with the potential and existing investors on what are our priority needs in this country and what are their interests, so that we can do the proper matching. What is their potential and what is their capacity to take advantage of the same. The message we have from the President down to us is that Kenya is open for business, and it is not only open for business but ready for business, the way Dr. Joshua has said. And we are not only open for business, but we are ready for business. We are continuously listening to the private sector to identify and address any bottlenecks in the area of investment. With those few remarks, I would like to take this opportunity to invite the Honorable Minister of Moses Kuria.
Thank you, Principal Secretary for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan Abubakar, our esteemed partners, the Board of Kenya Investment Authority, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm delighted to be here this morning, and I am extremely excited with the level of support and enthusiasm that I find here among our partners. When we took over as a new government, we identified one key problem that is facing the Kenya economy, and that is that every time we are discussing economic matters, we talk about debt, we talk about fiscal deficits, we talk about interest rates, we talk about inflation, we talk about all the other nice, high-sounding macroeconomic indicators. But actually, I thought, and I was of the opinion, that our problem is not all that. That is the symptom. All those are symptoms. So when we talk about Kenya shillings is 130 something to the dollar. When we talk about inflation is skyrocketing. When we talk about, the budget deficit now is close to 7%. When we talk about our debt, is extremely high. Then all those are symptoms. What is the problem? The actual virus is lack of production. And I do not have to go far to realize what are really the causes of lack of production, or the indicators for lack of production. One, on the area of manufacturing, the ratio of manufacturing to GDP had decreased from 9% to 7%. Exports as a ratio to GDP had dropped in 8 years only from 28% to 10%. How do you expect to be okay? How do you expect to be normal? And our foreign direct investment had stagnated at around $500 million. So these three triple viruses are what causes all the other problems which we battle every day. Yet, every day, you don't hear about them in the headlines, neither from the media houses, nor from the broadcasting house. Instead, we hear about debt, about interest rate, about inflation, about all the other things. So it is about time, and that is what I've been doing for the last 7 months or so that I've been Cabinet Secretary, to ask myself, how can we restart the engine of production? How can we restart the engine of manufacturing? How can we start to export again? How can we attract investment so that we can be able to create jobs? And it's been challenging, but also very exciting. I want to thank all of you, and especially those who've come from quite a journey, Maxwell and Amcham. In the month of March, you hosted an extravaganza at the Amcham, and I thought that I'll try to get one goal back, and I hope June, we're going to, if not give a similar show like what we saw in March, but also try to come up with something probably better. And it was quite a challenge. I want to say that this event is not a Kenyan event. This event is an African event. When I was discussing, and I went to cabinet in way back in October, and I got approval to host an investment conference. Then at the same time, one gentleman whom I respect a lot, called Makta Diop, he is the president of the IFC, and I hope, June, you've invited the IFC to join us, because Makta Diop, when we had a meeting with him and with President Ruto, he challenged us and he told us, how comes, two things which are very important. One, how come when we talk about Africa integration, when we talk about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, it is always government talking to government. Where is the private sector? Who are the real stakeholders? And I told him, I really got your challenge, When we talk about AFCFTA, it has been something similar to smiling at a girl in the darkness when governments talk to fellow governments. Now, we then said, can we then start to have the voice of the private sector within this AFCFTA discussion? And I'm very proud to say that this is the first time ever since AFCFTA was mooted that we are going to have the private sector, and not just the private sector, but the cream de la cream of the private sector in Africa talking to the governments. I think that's a very unique development, and I think Kenya deserves some clap for that. Let's clap for Kenya. And I'm sure that I hope June Maktar will be joining us, and if not physically, virtually, because he'll be very proud to see that within 5 months we took his challenge and we ran with it. Now, why Africa? These are very important. I am very convinced that the only growth remaining for the world is in Africa. Yeah? And I said during the AmCham, going forward, there is going to be only 2 categories of businesses. Category number 1 are businesses that are going to be in Africa. And category number 2 are businesses that are going to be extinct. And I still start with that. So either you're in Africa or you are going to be extinct. And why not? 1.3 billion people, population. By 2050, this population will be rising to 2.5 billion people. 1 out of every 4 humans by that time will be an African. I look forward, and I actually want us to start thinking, should we maybe change our passports and our IDs so that instead of starting with country, Kenya, county, Murang'a, district, Gatanga, I'm not talking about you minor, but we start with continent, Africa, so that we can be truly, truly, truly proud African. And we should be proud. By 2050, even now as we speak, if Africa was a country, it will be the same population as China. Can you imagine that? We will be rivaling with China in terms of who has the highest population. And China will not be lucky because even some of their nationals are now called Mutua. So in terms of those numbers, you can see, even by migration, a lot of Chinese people will be migrating to Africa. And I think my friend here, William Mutua, is a vivid example. And economists are all about population. I really want to ask those people who are there when we are doing this Kupanga Uzazi. Those people are not very good people. I think they misread us. Because today if you look at G20, countries, half of the countries in G20 are there not because of industry, not because of resources, but because of just population. And that's why they are in G20. I was in Indonesia the other week. Indonesia is number 15 economy in the world with a $1.8 trillion, similar equivalent to the entire Africa, GDP. Why? Because they have made the best use of the 300 million people in population. So let us embrace population and let nobody comes again with that kind of misguided program as Kupanga Uzazi. Because by now, even Kenya could be in G20. Yeah? Why it's not for those people who came and gave us that Kupanga Uzazi. And I know I have got my friends from GIZ here, and I'm sure, truly sure you understand what I mean, that the next competitive item, the next competitive arena for world economies is going to be on the size of markets. That's why, as a country, as Kenya, we have identified AFCFTA not as just somewhere you join because of a shared identity. We are joining there not because of our identity, but because of our interest. It is of our utmost interest that Kenya participate in a very strong, integrated Africa Continental Free Trade Area. When we were in Addis Ababa, some 2-3 months back, I did challenge the Secretary General of AFCFTA, His Excellency Wamkele Meni. And I told Wamkele, you know, we have taken so much time in all this planning and ratification, exchanging offers, and, you know, a lot of what I would call motion without movement. Can we now have some movement to add to the motion? And I said, let us meet and say, after all that, because now we have got a critical mass, only 4 or so countries have not ratified the AFCFTA. All the RECs, all the regional economic councils, like East African Community, have now placed their tariff offers. South Africa, Custom Union, SACU, was the most problematic because a lot of consensus required in that particular block. They just offered their tariff offers. So what next? Are we going to plan until the next millennium? And I said, let's meet and say, where is now our implementation matrix for the AFCFTA? And he told me, let's look for a country to host us. And I said, no, Kenya will host. I didn't even have an idea whether I was committing my country without approval from my government. But I said, what is wrong with trying anyway? And so I came and cabinet, you know, ratified my offer and said let's combine this planning session for the AFCFTA with our KICO, our investment conference, and let's have that new way of looking at it, that every private sector event in Africa also brings together the government. So I'm very happy with this, you know, government to private sector partnership. I always say that if I was to be asked to choose what your ministry should be called, I would say investment, trade and industry is too wordy, and I will request one day that I am simply called the cabinet secretary in the Ministry of the Private Sector, because I am actually the champion of the private sector, and it is my responsibility to ensure that we have got a thriving private sector, and to ensure that we are going to have a private sector-led economy. We used to have those cliches in the speeches in the 90s, that the private sector is the engine of growth. I don't know what happened to this engine, because the growth is not happening. And this is really also my challenge to you. When we were coming up with the criteria, we sat with the team from Standard Bank, sometimes in November, and we said, can we have, I wanted to have only those companies with more than 5 countries presence in Africa. Believe you me, we didn't find 10. Not more than 10 companies have got presence in more than 5 countries. And this is really the shame of Africa. I think this is a conversation we need to have with the private sector. How come everybody is in their village? With 1.3 billion people market, African companies, everybody is a king in their own corner. Everybody is an Olympics swimmer in their bathtub. And they call themselves champions. You know, we really need to grow out there, and we need to expand. We need to be in more countries. I want to recognize companies like Standard Bank, 20, how many countries, Joshua? 22 countries. EcoBank, 30-something countries. Yet here, even some of our big companies here in Kenya, you'll only find that the biggest Kenyan company is in how many countries? 10, 7, 2, 1. You know, it No, we are not going to. We need to have a conversation. Hatutakaa namna hiyo. Yeah? No, we cannot. We cannot. And I want to ask all of us really to face that reality, that how can we, why do I not find, East African breweries, Kenya breweries, when I'm passing by the streets of Togo? Why are we not there? How come Anglophone Africa talks only to Anglophone Africa? How come Francophone Africa only talks to Francophone Africa? How come East only talks to East and West only talks to West? Can we build strong East pillar, strong West pillar, strong South pillar, strong North pillar, and then we have some connecting beams that connect between all these? We are really losing it when we become parochial villagers. It is good to be a villager, but you are not destined to be a villager forever. Let's get our businesses out of the village. Let us get out there. And this really, I want to really thank Maxwell and AmCham because of the forum and the platform you gave us at the U.S. Chamber when we went to the U.S. to really think that in those, for example, within the U.S., you have Meta here, you have Microsoft here. You look at the companies, but here, I sometimes go on trips. All the time I'm traveling, and I try to go with the private sector, and maybe it is the nature of our business management organization. I find in my entourage people who don't even have business cards. You can't even, they cannot show you where the offices are. And that is why I have challenged my principal secretary to work on a law, we are working on a law, which must be presented to the cabinet within the next 30 days. Sit down, thank you. This is the Kenya National Chamber law. We are going to have the chamber, the Kenya Chamber. I'm not talking about the various configurations as they are. That is truly reflective of Kenyan business. A chamber which even we can say, I'm proudly a member. A chamber which even Facebook has to say that I am proudly a member of the Kenyan Chamber. A chamber that can be of equal footing with the US Chamber, with the AmCham, with the Chinese Chamber, with the European Business Council. We really put our businesses there, because people, let us be organized. If you don't get organized, there is no way to help you. And the way to help you is to organize you in something that you can feel proud. So in the chamber law, it is going to be mandatory for every registered business in Kenya to be a member of the chamber. It is not going to be a choice. It is going to be mandatory. And some people are going to start crying, now this is going to increase the cost of doing business. What? How now? How? If you think that belonging to, or paying for subscription by mandatory to be a member of chamber is expensive, try to be an employee. Who has stopped you? Yeah? But we are going to have organized businesses. We are going to have businesses that when we talk about the Kenyan Chamber, it is not about self-interest of this person and that person. It is not going to be about briefcase businesses. It is going to be businesses that can speak for Kenya and that can earn us the respect that we deserve. And so that in that chamber, we can start to have a conversation of why is everybody so comfortable with being small and medium. Kenya is going to be at the next haven for small and medium businesses, and I'm doing everything possible to create a very good environment for small and medium businesses. But that should not be the end of our aspiration. We should aspire to grow. We should aspire to be continental. We should aspire to be global. M-Pesa is a global brand, but is it a global company? That's a conversation we need to have. That the best of our businesses, they look so big from here, but if they are big enough, I don't want to say if they are men enough or women enough, let us also go out there and compete in the world arena, because we have whatever it takes. We have all what it takes to be big businesses. So in this respect also, let me announce that we are going to be working with the World Bank and partners, and I know GIZ is here and World Bank is going to have this conversation with you to come up with a pool for business growth finance for the small and medium businesses, so that we can do this scale up. Because if we have to do scale up of our businesses, then it is imperative that we provide business capital for them. Kenya and Africa, you know, in the West, even in China, if you have a good idea, what do? You think this idea is marvelous, it is unique, you go and hire a good manager. You hire a good manager. Then what do? Then you go to either a bank or a venture capitalist or private equity, and you tell them, hey, you give that money to the manager and they build for you a good enterprise. That is the secret behind the growth of the West, especially. That is the secret behind the growth of China and other continents. All about here in Africa, if you have a good idea, you are expected also to be a good manager by yourself, okay? And then also, you are expected to be very rich, so that you can also fund your business. So you are the financier, you are the manager, and you are also the vision carrier. You are the creator, all in one. That's why I say it's only in Africa you expect somebody to be handsome, rich, and they sing well. It is not possible. In other countries, you have to have one. Yeah? So what we are going to do in this country also, and I hope hopefully in Africa, is to create structures so that when you have a good idea, somebody else provides good management. And yet somebody provides business finance. So I want to ask GIZ and all the other partners, even the corporates, to really support our what we are calling Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation KJET program, which we are going to be launching with the World Bank very, very soon, so that we can also be able to pull together money, resources. And I'm not talking about small money, big money, a lot of money, so that anybody who would want to start their own business or to scale up their existing business, we are able to de-risk them, to pull them. And also, another thing is that as a country, we've been expecting partners to come in here, go to our villages, identify businesses from our villages, fund our businesses. As a government, we've been sleeping on the job because we've not made the work easier for our partners. So we are coming with a difference now. We are going to work on our businesses, profile our businesses, make our businesses ready to be supported. If you want to be supported, you must be ready for that particular support. And I think that now you're going to see a lot of economic activity when we start providing business capital, either for startups or growth capital, so that we stop becoming just village businesses. I am challenging businesses to grow and to scale up, but I am also doing something about it. We are leveling the business environment. You heard all the changes that President Ruto announced during the AMCHA, but also I am going out of the way to provide business capital, to provide finance, so that I tell you, Sasa wewe, what is your excuse? Huh? Money is here, market is here, the whole of Africa is here. Why wouldn't you grow? Why would you remain a small company? And also, I want to challenge the private sector, or the private sector in this country, to really take the issue of our youth seriously. We are working with a number of partners to launch, which I'll be launching in June, in the national private sector internship program. The government has challenged us. The government recently, through the Ministry of Public Service, launched an internship program for the public sector. The one we are going to launch for the private sector will be one of a kind. I expect every company, when you come here, to have a badge saying how many people have you offered internships. Joshua, you can give me that commitment today. Yeah? And by the way, I do not want to hear that story of people asking for incentives to do what is right. This is the right thing to do. It is a moral thing to do. We cannot make it an issue of, oh, give me tax incentive, give me this, give me that. This is our country. Most important thing, this is your market. Yeah? As we do all these things, I am expecting the private sector to rise to the occasion and realize that it is not an act of charity. It is your market. These are your customers. If you doubt that, ask us to go, all of us Kenyans, 54 million, to go visiting Uganda today. Who are you going to sell to? This, at least, let that young man or woman come to your company for 1 year. Pay them just kidogo stipend, yeah, for that 1 year. So that in the second year, even if you don't have work for them, they will be able to apply for a job and say, 1 year. Internship program, stand big. So that person is much better, is much more employable than if they are somewhere in Gatanga, where mine come from. Yeah? Waiting and just writing it. I remember the, in those days, there was no where to type application letters. So when I left the university, we used to go job hunting. And how you do job hunting is that you write a letter on a foolscap, and then you write to the banks. You say, Leo nisikuya banks, or Leo nisikuya something else. So how I got a job in a bank is that day I had like five letters written to the managing director. Then you leave for a space, bank, house Minigani, PO box, you leave, then you like the same one. So that when you now start going around, you see Stanbic, you say, oh, Stanbic Bank. And so one day I just saw a logo there, Standard Chartered Bank. I said, I delivered. I developed my application, and the following day I was offered a job. Yeah, because things were much easier that time, especially if you had the right qualification. But not so today. And I think, Joshua, private sector, please, I really ask you for your support to make the private sector internship program work. And I have a target of 500,000 internships. You can give that by yourself, then I can raise a target. But we must put 500,000 Kenyans into internship program. We can do it. If all of us come by, and please, the next meeting, June, is only for companies that are participating in the internship program. Because those are the responsible corporate citizens that we need to have. So I welcome you next week, and I want to thank you for the support you've given. June has said that the event starts at 7, but she has made another mistake to say that the president will arrive at 7:30. The president, I had now to WhatsApp you to say what has changed. The president has reaffirmed that he will be there at 6:59 a.m. Yeah. Because Kenya is open for business, and as Joshua said, Kenya is ready for business, and I'm very happy to see Meta Group also participating. I want to end with a small story about Facebook, about Microsoft, and I want to give a story about Bill Gates. So one time, Bill Gates was hiring the managing director for Microsoft Eastern Europe. And he called people for an interview, and 10,000 people turned up. And he was wondering, how do I reduce this number of 10,000 people to get one candidate? So he asked the first question. He said, if you've never managed 5,000 people, get out of here. And half of the people, 5,000 people left. There was left 4,999 people, plus one guy called Kamau from Kenya. And Kamau has never managed anybody in his life. But Kamau said, anyway, what do I have to lose by just staying around? Let me stay. So Kamau and 4,999 others stayed. And Bill Gates still thought this crowd is too big. It needs to be managed. He said, I'll go to the next question. And he asked them, this region, the dominant language is Serbian. So if you don't speak Serbian, get out of here. And everybody left except 2 people. Kamau and one more person. Kamau reasoned, I don't know what even is Serbian. But why do I lose by mistake? I'll just try my luck. So Kamau, Bill Gates was so happy with himself. He said, my 2 questions, I have left only 2 people. This must be surely the right candidate. I'm even going to think of splitting this job into 2 so that each of them get a job. He told them, I'm so proud of you. Now can you speak in Serbia to each other? Kamau said, oh my God, my day has come. Kimeshikana. So Kamau said in Kikuyu language, Kohana tia modo wa nyumba. Then the other guy replied, Gotiri now. That is the Kenyan spirit of trying. Let us keep trying that one.
Let's appreciate Waziri again. Thank you very much, Waziri. We want to go to the last part of this event, and that's why we would like this podium to be removed. We want to call the partners who are here, who are ready to bring their support. June, please come. We start with Stanley to hand over their check. Waziri and PS, please come up. And chair the board. Escort for Stanley. That's 5 million Kenya shillings. Thank you very much. Watu wa picha mmemaliza. Asante. Thank you. Next is GIZ. GIZ. Venom, come closer. GIZ, thank you very much. GIZ, 8 million. Venom, ko karibu. Venom, 10 million Kenya shillings. Thank you very much. So we call all the supporters up here for the final photo. Amcha, we thank you. We have received your support. Stanley, can GIZ please come back for the final photo? Stanley and GIZ. June, join them. Thank you very much.
Let me also announce another sponsor who will not be here because they are traveling. But Equity Bank has sponsored a partnership that we are signing with the CNN to the first Invest in Kenya 1-year program. CNN, proudly sponsored by Equity Bank, at the cost of $1.1 million. Now, it's my pleasure to announce the Kenya Investment Conference 2023 and the private sector dialogue with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement officially opened.
Thank you very much. Asanteni, Waziri, thank you very much, and PS. The others, you can enjoy breakfast. Waziri, we permit you to leave. Thank you.
That marks the end of the official opening, that is the media launch of the African Private Sector Dialogue on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement hosted under the 3rd Kenya International Investment Conference KIICO 2023 by Cabinet Secretary Honorable Moses Kuria, of course attended by some other stakeholders who will be taking part in that event that will be taking place on 29th, 30th and 31st of this month at the Safari Park Hotel. What is currently happening now is that media launch, and of course it's a breakfast meeting for, and even us, we also had our breakfast, our cups of coffee here in studio, so we are not left behind. All right, so gentlemen, that is happening, and of course KBC is part and parcel of that event that will be taking place next week. So be sure to join us on 29th, 30th and 31st of this month at the Safari Park Hotel. Now, I want us to do this. Gentlemen, it's how we do it. We promised to have a show, but that's how it happens. It happens that way. So let's give it a quick wrap on what really happens. And you said that you did a bit of some research on this.
Yeah, what I was telling you is the AFTA agreement is trying to accommodate African market, and about 44 countries have actually ratified that agreement, and
yes.
About 10, 11 more are supposed to sign a ratification. What that means is, you know, there has been an intention to have one, currency in Africa, have a bigger market. You know, there are about how many people? Are we about 1 billion people in Africa or something like that? This will form a global market for the European, for Americas, for Asians, so that we agree under this agreement that I can sell something in Morocco without a lot of embargoes. I mean that a lot of taxes, a lot of hiccups. So it's important. But how it is important for Kenya is this way: what are we going to export to South Africa? What are we going to export to Libya? Other than buying sugar from Pakistan and buying maize from Zambia, what are we going to export? It is earmarked that there will be tourism export, professional services. I mean, the kind of labor we have in Kenya, actually, it can be exported anywhere in the world. So what they are saying is there will be, less red carpet when we are going to do business within Africa, once all these countries come together. And that is important, so that instead of destroying sugar in Mumias or other places, we can now plant and decide that we can sell it either in Libya or in those countries where it is needed.
Okay.
That's the whole point. Yes.
What's the timeline that you're looking at in terms of this? 2023, 2030?
No, it has already taken effect in 2022. You can see this is a 3rd conference. It has already taken effect, but has it been felt in Kenya?
That is a big question now.
That is the issue. And it is the government, and you can see now professionals have come together under the Kenya Investment Authority to, first of all, sensitize and make Kenyans know that there is such a deal.
Yeah.
You know there is now a free entry to South Africa. You remember that?
Yes.
This kind of thing is going to be enlarged into all of Africa.
Yes.
So how will Kenyans take advantage of that if they don't know? If the government operatives are going to engage cartels instead of going straight to the people and tell them, you know what, you can fly to South Africa and try a job. You can go to Cameroon and try a job. And these are the, political temperature, economic temperature. This is the lifestyle. This is the social lifestyle of that country. So it's all about how the government can tell its people what are the opportunities in this agreement.
All right.
If you create it for your families and you create it for your friends and cronies and cartels, then still Kenyans will not enjoy the benefits of that agreement. Yes.
All right. Yes, Wakili.
What Senior is saying that I want to add on to is that in the day and age when we are struggling with the problem of the dollar and the shilling, you realize that one of the ways through which we could plug the problem was that if we were having an export-led economy. So that today, as Senior puts it, is that what are we exporting to South Africa? What are we taking to Zambia? What are we exporting out there? That way, right now we would be attracting the dollar, and it would ease the pressure that the shilling is having against the dollar. As we are moving forward as an economy, we must now look at the African free trade area and how we can take advantage of it to ensure that we use it as a tool through which we can alleviate poverty and lift our people out of misery. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to release you. But before that, there's a big event happening today. Maybe get your word, 1 or 2 minutes. It's on the front page, the Jubilee confusion, and of course Uhuru exerts control. The NDC happening today, and we've had a lot of talk about this. We have got, quote unquote, the faction, the Kanini Kega faction, and now the Jeremiah Kioni faction. Of course, when I talk to some of the officials, they denied and said that, there is no faction. We only have one Jubilee party, and that is the real Jubilee, as per the registrar of political parties. Let me get your voice on this, Wakili. What are we looking at today?
I think, Victor, these kind of headlines, they look more sponsored than real, because there will be NDC.
Yes.
I mean, if it's NDC, Victor, there is only one party called Jubilee Party in Kenya. There is only one. There are not two. There would be two, either called Jubilee Party Kanini Kega, Jubilee Party Uhuru Kenyatta. And they can register, if they want, before the political parties registrar.
Yeah.
That has not happened. There are internal disputes and complaints going on, and probably the registrar has been served with notices of we don't agree with leadership of so and so, and therefore this is the leadership we want. That has not been ratified by the registrar of political parties. She must ratify for anybody to say that there is actually a fact. So what is going on when you say confusion and all that is actually meant to make it look like Jubilee Party has two. In the real sense, there is a Jubilee Party, and they have a national chairman, they have a national secretary general, and these are the people. The ones registered in the political party's office are President Uhuru Kenyatta and Jeremiah Kioni. But of course, we know that Kanini Kega wants to come in and also be maybe a secretary general, and make, what's the name of the beautiful lady? Sabina Chege, to be the chair.
Yes.
That is a process. Where there are such disputes, they normally have in the Constitution and in the Political Parties Act, it allows and it actually compels a party to have internal dispute mechanism. So this is where the arbitration board, the dispute board within the party will sit and hear Uhuru Kenyatta and hear Sabina Chege and hear Kanini Kega and hear Jeremiah Kioni. And then it will make a decision. Once the board has made a decision, if somebody is not happy with that decision, it will go to the political parties tribunal. And the tribunal will also pronounce itself. And if somebody is not happy, it will go to the High Court. So we have not done all this, and you are saying there is confusion in Jubilee, and there are factions. Factions are always there. I mean, you have factions in the home also. Children will say, "No, Mami has said it correctly. That you are not right."
Yes.
This you cannot, fuel any dispute in this nature. And Victor, I just want to repeat that this is all about testing democracy in the country. No one should try to kill one party in favor of another one.
Yeah.
The more the parties and the more they are established in the country, the better for everyone. They're better for actually all people. Today, people say, if we didn't have Raila Odinga, what would have happened? I mean, who would have brought to the fore this forensic conduct of Raila Odinga to help us know that, no, you cannot do this, no, you cannot do this, a government should do things like this. So we sometimes, just complain and whine and blame, but in the real sense, we need Raila Odinga the same way we need William Ruto, the president, and the same way we need Uhuru Kenyatta, and the same way we need Wajakoya.
Yes.
Every spirit of the nation should be accommodated, and the executive must be tolerant about that. It is why today's NDC should be conducted. Let them make their decisions. Let us see what the decisions are. And I believe the government should keep of this. The UDA people should keep of this. Let Jubilee mess themselves if they have to. And then let those decisions they make today be filed at the registrar of political parties. Then we start really dispute. But to try to sponsor some heading or sponsor some skirmishes or sponsor some divisions that are basically imaginary is actually unfair to the democracy of our country.
We are looking at a lot of things happening at the NDC, Kidi, and now at the end of the day, they'll have their pronouncements at the end of that NDC. This comes barely after the last one, just before election. We are seeing former President Uhuru Kenyatta, most likely is going to attend because he's the national chair. But what are we likely to see? Him to retain the seat, being a former president? Should he quit completely active politics and hand over the mantle to someone else? But most importantly, why this scramble for the heart of Jubilee?
I think to begin with is that I find the President Uhuru Kenyatta, I find him in a very precarious position. And I call that position precarious because the people who are fighting him over the heart and soul of Jubilee are people who ideally should not fight President Uhuru Kenyatta over the control of Jubilee. So that the mere fact that Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege are inviting him to a duel and he shows up, in itself gives credit to Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege. But then the question is, why should we be here less than a year after elections? When just about a year ago, there was an NDC that said that Jubilee was going into Azimio, and Jubilee ideally should be in Azimio if we were, legal Puritans, if we were observing the law strictly. Then it speaks to the question of interest and how our politics is still, not anchored on ideology and principles. Because if it were, then I think that in this parliamentary term, we would be contented with Jubilee being in Azimio. But then the question is, have they been treated fairly in that Azimio? Have they received all that they bargained for? Remember that when Honorable Waluke was in detention, was in committee, Jubilee Party said that they had nominated Honorable Waluke for the PSC, as a commissioner to the PSC.
Yes.
That did not materialize. So the question is, what exactly is happening in Jubilee? So that when political parties begin to conduct themselves with a hygiene, if Jubilee Party and its leadership said that they wanted to be in Azimio, we should have seen that even after election. So that if someone was saying last year that he was in Azimio, but 6 months, barely less than a year after election, he is willing to dump Azimio, the question is, what has happened? And about institutions, even about political parties as institutions, have they exhausted the mechanisms they have within the party, including but not limited to dispute resolution, so that if there are small
Jubilee has not raised any conflict with,
so that if there are small tiffs which are normal within a political party, have those mechanisms been able to run their full scale, full circle, and made a determination that the leadership is willing to respect? Thank you.
Victor, thank you, my brother. Victor, who is fighting Uhuru Kenyatta? This is a very important question, and I don't
that
think
is why the question is, why would somebody want him out of?
But who is fighting Uhuru Kenyatta? Is it Sabina Chege or is it Kanini Kega? I mean, we've been in this country, at least I've been here for some time now. Even without reading, I have practically seen our history. I don't think Kanini Kega can want to go into a duel with Uhuru Kenyatta or the Kenyatta family by any standards. Neither is Sabina Chege. I mean, they cannot. They can't afford it. So who really is behind Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege to fight Uhuru Kenyatta? That, I think, is the pregnant question. Whoever that is must also realize that it will consume his time and money before he can accomplish his objective. The Kenyatta family in this country, I mean, it's good to know how things work, but it's also good to know our history. If you want to deal with Uhuru Kenyatta, whatever promises you've made that I will deal with either Uhuru Kenyatta or the Kenyatta family. The other day, I think they attacked, they invaded the northern land, I think belonging to the Kenyatta family.
Along Thika Road.
And as far as Kenyatta family was concerned, I have not heard them say nothing. You didn't touch them. So you talk about wanting to deal with Uhuru Kenyatta. I think it would waste the precious time of Kenyans, and it will actually involve a lot of resources which would have been applied to bring down the cost of living. But in terms of Kanini Kega as an individual, as a politician, it is within his right, and as a party member, going to hold a separate NDC, again, I think that is his right with Sabina Chege. And Uhuru Kenyatta will go ahead, hold the NDC. He will unleash his money, he will unleash his leadership skills. Remember now, some people, a good number of people now like him more than they liked him before, because of what they have realized that, we were given promises and they have not been fulfilled. So I think that when people are engaging a former president, and particularly the first family, there is a talk of who is the kingpin in Mount Kenya.
Yes.
For some people, that is a question they are still grappling with.
Yes.
But anybody who knows Kenyan history will not even take a moment to consider that question.
Okay.
The kingpin for Mount Kenya is known. The ones who are trying to build their career, one time member of parliament, then you become deputy president, then you say I am kingpin. Honestly, that is not a bad idea, but we want to save our children from not wasting their time. They must understand that the kingpin in Mount Kenya is known. Of course, there were mistakes during the 2022 prior to that, and how Uhuru Kenyatta treated his people. There has been a complaint about that.
Was it, or was it just a political
At least they said that themselves from Mount Kenya. So once that is resolved, the kingpin of Mount Kenya is not a debate. And to try to smash a kingpin by appointing 2-3 people to try to do something is actually a complete waste of time for Kenya and a complete waste of resources.
Okay. So, Standard puts it, is it a do or die moment for Uhuru Kenyatta and Jubilee in general?
I don't think it is a do or die for Jubilee, or for President Uhuru Kenyatta. The reason being is that in 97, let us look at history.
Yes.
In 97, we had Raila Amolo Odinga, who was in Ford Kenya, 96. Then when he was unable to wrestle Ford Kenya from Wamalwa, he went and registered NDP Tinga.
Yes.
And 97, the entire Luo Nyanza was tractor by the time we were going to the elections. I think that even if President Uhuru Kenyatta were to leave Jubilee for whoever, the only thing I think that there could be the source of the conflict, the other reason that could be the source of the conflict, apart from kingpinship, as Senior puts it, is the question of the political parties fund, which is about 100 million a year.
And of course, Jubilee being the third largest party.
Of course, that is a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
So that President Kenyatta could leave that, set up another political party, and possibly capitalize on potential missteps of the current administration, and whip the entire Mount Kenya into a different political party in preparation for 2027. So it is a wait and see scenario in how it plays out. But I don't think it is a do or die for President Uhuru. Yes.
Yeah, Wakili, do or die?
No, definitely not. Labadi has elucidated it very clearly that, Uhuru Kenyatta would form a different party, call it Uhuru Kenyatta Party or whatever, and give them 100 million every other year. He just pumps in 100 million. It's not a big deal for him. That is honesty, because it's no good to philosophize issues. He can give them that money. But I also tend to think that he is a very circumspect person. As a president who has been in this country for some time, he is circumspect. He could have come out. But in which country, Victor, do you find people silencing former presidents? We saw in the United States, Barack Obama went on leave after leaving office. But when Joe Biden was campaigning, he came out fully.
Yeah.
And what's the name? Donald Trump? He has come back. So I think we should nurture democracy and be tolerant about the dynamics of democracy. Democracy is like evil and a good angel sitting in the same room, and each of them have a right. So it's not good to say this particular person should exit political scene and completely go into oblivion. That is really not
my
correct.
question to you, gentlemen, before I let you go. So at the end of the day, ratifications will be made, pronouncements will be made, and they'll have their say at the NDC.
Yes.
So what should we look at moving forward at the end of closed business today? Kidi.
Well, I think that, as Chinua Achebe puts it, that let the eagle perch and let the crow perch. So, of course, both sides will, the NDC will proceed, of course. After it proceeds, of course, that determination will be presented to the Registrar of Political Parties.
Yeah.
Registrar
if there are certain changes in the party.
Yes, if there is any changes, Registrar will pronounce herself on those changes, on their legality. If any party feels aggrieved, it will go to the Political Parties Tribunal. And of course, the appellate process is so long, so that when it is exhausted, that is when we will know who who ideally has the control of Jubilee.
Yeah.
But until then, I think that it is a wait-and-see scenario. Thank you.
The former president has been so quiet about this issue. Is that spoken? The likes of...
you mean the former president?
Exactly, former president.
Yeah.
He's been so quiet about it.
Yeah.
I mean...
Because I think Uhuru Kenyatta is not necessarily a deep politician. Okay, I want to put it so that I can be understood in context. It doesn't play politics the usual way, like, for example, how Raila can play politics.
Yeah.
I expected Uhuru Kenyatta to actually go to Mama
head-on
Mukami's
combat.
barrio,
Yeah.
and I expect him to come and meet the president now, the president, William Ruto, shake hands and do exactly what Raila did. But Raila, because of his deep understanding of politics, he did that. And it gave him a lot of mileage.
Yes.
So, but you see, Uhuru Kenyatta, for his wisdom, he did not think, I need to do that. So I believe Jubilee going forward will weaken a little bit. It will not be as it were before, like in 2013 or 2017. It is going to weaken a little bit and probably go down the curve for a year or two. And then we will see whether actually Uhuru Kenyatta can actually bring it up.
Right.
But I don't think Uhuru Kenyatta will back off and say that somebody else has taken over. Maybe they will have Jubilee. Jubilee
and Jubilee Kenya.
Gentlemen, I want to read something here, and you'll tell me who wrote this article. Ruto might do better than his predecessors in anti-graft war. On page 16. Kidi Mwaga, do you know the author?
Of course, that is yes, truly.
Okay.
Oh,
what do you mean? Ruto might do better than his predecessors in anti-graft war. Coming days after the KEMSA scandal,
Yes.
he now seeing sugar scandal,
Yes.
and he said that he's going to clean up the mess.
Yes.
Please, in 1 minute.
Thank you. There is a reason why it is important to have political goodwill in the fight against corruption. Because I must have mentioned earlier that big corruption, they first capture the presidency. Then they capture the security sector. Then they capture the treasury. In a minute, look at Goldenberg. Why was James Kanyot, who was then the spy chief, a co-director of Goldenberg International? And then he identified himself in those papers as a farmer, while at the same time he was a spy chief. There was a reason behind it. Look at Anglo-leasing. Why was Kiraitu Murungi and Chris Murungaru sucked into, not Kiraitu Murungi, David Mwiraria and Kiraitu Murungi sucked into the Anglo-leasing. One was in treasury, the other one was in security. So when we have a president who is able to stand up to the players in big corruption, if he is able to tell his security chiefs that I can't tolerate corruption, if he is able to stand up to the mandarins at treasury that we are not going to tolerate big corruption, in a big way that would help us in the fight against corruption. And we have seen the decisiveness that he demonstrated in the KEMSA scandal. So that if the president is able to stay the course in the war against corruption, in my view, I think that for the first time, we may be able to make huge progress in the war against corruption. And why is it more important now that we have the President William Ruto in the fight against corruption? While coming into office, he didn't make any grand promises that I am going to have zero tolerance to corruption. He did not do that. But we have seen he has acted decisively. President Kibaki, what ailed President Kibaki and President Uhuru was that if that political will was there, then it was deployed too late or deployed in a manner that it appeared that it was seeking to settle political scores. Look at the anti-corruption war of 2018, 2019, immediately after handshake. So that initially, the initial feeling was that, President Uhuru is fighting corruption. But eventually it appeared that it was designed in a manner to weaken political opponents. So that because now the president is going after his own people he appointed himself, then we think that, as we are waiting to see, we think that he is striking the right chords.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me get you something you wrote here. It is important to have a president who is able to stand up to the sophisticated network of corrupt cartels and their political agents.
Yes.
We've seen a majority of politicians shying away, when a politician is touched because your backyard voted for me to man.
Yes.
I'm not in a position to crucify you.
Yes.
How will the president navigate through this? Because from what is being said that some senior politicians are also embedded in the KEMSA scandal,
yes,
and even the sugar scandal?
At some point, the president will have to be willing to remain agnostic to the political consequences in the fight against corruption.
Yeah.
Secondly, remember that the president will now, if he seeking the network of corruption, may want to punish him in the second term when he's seeking re-election.
Okay.
But remember that
is a danger. That's
yes,
why the question I've asked you.
Yes, and the answer is there is a lot of people who did not vote for the president in the first term, yours truly included. But the president is increasingly winning people over in how he is managing the politics. Forget the economy. The economy, of course, has got other challenges that Sini had mentioned, including but not limited to the international market shocks. So the way he's managing the politics, for instance, when the president is elected, his first 2 trips, he comes to Luo Nyanza with a coherent development agenda. It sits down with the elected leaders. You realize that by the time the president is going to seek re-election, there are sizable chunk of votes is going to Ghana from Luo Nyanza backyard and other places that originally did not vote for him that are going to be willing to say that, look, for a moment, let us give this guy another chance. So I think that when the president is able to manage the politics and is able to be decisive in the war against corruption, and he is willing to remain agnostic to the political consequences of fighting corruption, I think the president will go back to office in second term without a struggle.
Wakili, assume your story is not the author.
Yes.
But this headline, Ruto might do better than his predecessors in anti-graft war.
Yes.
Assume he's not here.
I think you must appreciate what is the philosophy of William Ruto, and it will be every single step. It will have the Christology and the moral philosophical basis for whatever he does. And having studied the Bible very closely, he knows actually that you can speak like this today and tomorrow the circumstances can change and you have not lied. You know, my brother has mentioned that Ruto did not speak too much about corruption before elections. How could he have spoken about corruption? He would not have been elected. Everyone around him is engaged or involved in some kind of corruption scandal. But he is also now aware that since I promised to raise the standards of living and have people enjoy their lives, you know, by better economic standards, he is aware he cannot succeed if we are losing 3 billion, 4 billion at KEMSA. And in State House, they used to lose 2 billion daily, they say, in the previous regime. So how can he do that? He knows that my friends are the men and women who are used to picking some choir from here and there. He knows it in his heart. But you've also seen that Ruto likes his friends. Like, whether you are what you are, he likes you. But he's aware that if I continue to be with my friends who cannot help me in the agenda, they have to go. That's why we saw that the PS in health was actually shown the door, and several other senior staff.
Yes.
He will continue doing that. I am very sure that in 2 years, the current leaders will be out and Ruto would have picked new ones. That is where Kidi comes in to say that then people will start changing their mind about William Ruto, because William Ruto is smart, he's clever. He knows that if he shows you what he wants to do tomorrow, you will you will block him from. So he keeps quiet as if he doesn't know, and then tomorrow he actually decides I will do this. So if he can fire half of, and you can see he chose people haphazardly. He has picked people from the Kalenjin land haphazardly. All these guys will go out. In a very short time, like 2 years, I can predict, they will all go, because these are people who are hungry. These are people who are used to corruption deals. So he will simply be saying, I gave you a chance. You yourself messed it.
Come from my backyard.
So, So, and he has started to show that by, to fire PS was something that was done at 1 o'clock news by this station actually. But now we are only reading that so-and-so was fired. So he's not going to stop at anything. I think it will only take maybe 2 years for some of us like Kidi to actually be named PS without any ado.
So let me add to something to it.
Yes.
There has always been this powerful cabal around the president, holding no formal office, but wielding immense power. One thing I have seen,
faceless officers.
Yes. one thing I have seen the president do is that the bulk of those people around him, he has given them state appointments. In large part, in my view, I think that's something to celebrate, because when they're given state appointments, they can therefore be brought within the prism of accountability mechanisms of the state, so that if you say still, you can be held accountable. But you see, when you are the president, you are known as the president's man. You are holding no formal position, but then you are moving around, intimidating businessmen and doing this and that. That can be very dangerous. I think it is something the president has done. He has attempted to ensure that everyone is holding a formal position, which means they can be formally held accountable, and it is a good thing in the war against corruption. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we promised to stop at 9. We've done up to 9:30. You are good people. Thank you so much. All right. But to mention that Advice Mundalo, National Youth Chairman, Jubilee, you promised to come to the show, but you did not come. We have to shame you. That is the way to go. Exactly. We have to give it the way it is, because your people promised, we promised people that you're coming to the show, and there's a large population that was waiting for your contribution to the show, but you did not come. Your seat was here until it was taken out by the producer himself. You can do better, Advice. You know that. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Ishmael Nyaribo, who is an advocate of the High Court and a governance political analyst, as well as Kidi Mwaga, joining me on set for the first time. He is also a lawyer and a governance and policy expert and analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and even you as a viewer for your valid company. Let's meet tomorrow here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Victor Lo. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Wow, thank you.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash, star 811 star 963 hash.
After the dust settled on rigorous campaigns, Kenyans are waiting for elected leaders to deliver on their pledges.
Have you used the Hustler Fund?
When your children sleep hungry, when you can borrow 500 or 1,000 shillings and they have some food on the table.
So the 500 you're giving me now is my purchasing power has literally been diminished comparing to probably even January or December.
But how have the leaders performed so far?
In terms of the amount of money that is being disbursed, the minimum being 500 shillings, how do you scorecard that?
No, that I'll give it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
I'll still give it 5 out of 5.
Every week, we bring you an honest assessment of the national and county governments.
What is the impact of the Hustlers Fund?
There are people who borrow praying they don't have to pay back. For example, they pray that the owner dies.
The Scorecard, every Tuesday at 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
It is one of the oldest competitions in football history, the DFB Pokal. the high-tempo fun, the cheers and tears as football made in Germany comes to you live on KBC Channel 1.
Gorgeous little flick from Mario Götze. Let's in Colomani to score. His 4th in the competition this season. Way better than any blockbuster.
Don't miss the grand finale on the 3rd of June 2023. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
Nikikuona kazona waza sikukuta mimi jamani mashallah.
Chama Sunday, what is going on?
What is going on, Wabe?
Songa mbele kidogo.
Karatasi ndakutia baba.
Ni akusuilia unyefu na umomonyoko wa maji kwenye
Mata wasaba.
Ya bwana. Hey.
Congratulations. Wow.
Kai. Ni sumu mbaya sana hii. Sumu. Unanyolewa. Very good.
Wewe tatika. Friday. Prasa ya makanika ndio unaweka kwa masikio.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Don't call anymore, 'cause I'm still thinking about you. Have you found somebody new? Baby blue, tell me that you love me, I'm in love with gold and green. Wave the banner from you, know your soul clean. Red, gold and green, red, gold and green. Human race, running in a human race, yeah. What a disgrace. Human beings when a human.
Joseph Mwangi Mbogwa had already been trained by the East African community to join the East African Airways in 1975, when in a twist of events, he joined the military instead.
East African Airways or East African community had put an ad. They wanted to train pilots, ab initio pilots. So I applied. At the end of the interviews, 32 of us were selected to go to East African Civil Flying School, which was in Soroti, Uganda. It was quite, we were now doing ground school for the senior license, which is the Airline Transport Pilot's License, ATPL. That community broke up in 1977, and with it, East African Airways broke up.
That marked the end of the aviation training, but fate had other plans for Mbogwa.
luckily, one of our instructors who came from Nairobi came to the school and told us that Kenya Air Force was holding interviews for pilots. So the Kenyans that were at East African Civil Flying School, we came to Nairobi and went for the interviews. I was among the ones that were selected in May 1977.
Mbugua vividly recalls the events that unfolded early morning, the 1st of August, 1982.
I was in my room at the officer's mess when around 8 o'clock in the morning, somebody banged on my door. So I went out to check who it was and found a soldier. I can't remember his name, but a soldier with a rifle. Told me, "Captain, dress up and go to the crew room." I was escorted to the crew room. Said, "What is happening?" "We have taken over the government." I went back to my room, tuned the radio. So when I heard, here is chaos. In the crew room, the soldiers with the rifles were around outside. They let us do our own thing, so we did our briefing. We talked what is going on, because none of us knew what was going on.
Mbugua and his crew had instructions to bomb specific targets.
Okay, of course they gave commands. They came and briefed us and told us, "We want you to go and bomb State House, bomb Voice of Kenya, bomb even Isli Air Base operations." They wanted us to bomb. There were targets. They gave us some targets. But after they left, of course they left us to do our own thing. He said, "We are not going to do any of that. But if they force us to fly, we will fly." So two of my colleagues, late Captain Mutua, David Mutua, and late Captain John Mugwanja, they took off and they came and flew in Nairobi, did all kinds of those maneuvers that would look like they were bombing their places in Nairobi, and flew back to Nairobi. I flew back to Nanyuki. There was yet another one that did that. The second one, I think they had strapped rockets. They came to Nairobi. Of course, they didn't shoot any rockets in Nairobi. They went and dropped the rockets over Mount Kenya forest. Came back and landed. So my colleague and I, we didn't fly.
Unfortunately, Mbugua was among scores of military personnel arrested and sent to prison.
We looked out the outside of our crew room, and we saw soldiers crawling in the grass. The army had come. We were gathered together somewhere in the field. They checked us. We were not armed. We ended up in the cells. We stayed there for about a week. Then we were taken back to Nanyuki, and we went through interrogations, individually. We were taken to Naivasha Maximum Prison, others to Kamete Maximum Prison. That was in August. Later on in December, I was moved to Naivasha Maximum Security Prison.
Mbugua was secluded from family and friends and seemed to have disappeared without a trace.
Our families were kept incommunicado. They had no idea where we were. They had stories that we were dead. My family had looked for my wife because they knew she was pregnant, and they didn't know whether I was dead, or they thought I was dead anyway. At least they would be seeing one of their son's child.